It is the biggest stage in Australian sport, isn't it? The MCG, and today it'll be just about jam-packed, Lee, because it's Carlton versus Essendon in the final.
Big knockout final of the MCG. Can't get much better than this.
Really looking forward to a sellout here. We've got everything covered at the MCG. You can see the two rooms there. Let's go down to the Carlton rooms. And Brett Rats, thank you for joining us. It's your third campaign, finals campaign. Brett, have you done anything differently this week from the other 2 years?
Not really. It's been pretty much business as usual, and we haven't changed a lot. I think, I suppose, the memory of the last two finals appearances are always there, and I suppose the players have spoke about it a little bit, but we're going to focus on here and now and today.
Brett, you got Michael Jamieson out there, but I see Marcus Davies is the sub, one of your medium tall defenders. Is he just a backup for that problem?
Yeah, it is, Lee. A couple of times we've gone down. I think we've used the sub 12 times through injury, and 8 times in every time we've done it, 8 times has been a tall. So we're sort of looking for that, I suppose, player that can play tall and small, and he is a good backup, and his form last week was really solid.
It's a windy day. You seem to have the leg speed advantage. Moving the ball quickly, is that the plan?
It is. Last week against St Kilda, we really played around with the ball and over-possessed with the football, so we want to go a little bit more direct this week.
Rats, you're down in the rooms, obviously, and the team's out. I know that's your way. Why is that? I mean, you don't go out and watch them warm up?
I think it's one of those ones with coaches. I think we always do the what-ifs and things like that. So if someone has from the opposition a shot at goal or things, something like that, I start to think, geez, is he going to play forward, and start to wonder, and your mind goes everywhere. So what I know is their team, and we're playing for it, so I don't go out there and take any notice.
Fair enough. Appreciate your time. Good luck today, Brett.
No problem. Thanks, Bruce Lee.
Yeah, all the best. Good stuff. Well, let's go down to ground level, Lee, because I can see Matthew Richardson and Tim Watson. Tim.
Well, Bruce, you mentioned the wind today. Richo, good day for small forwards.
Oh, it certainly is. The ball's going to be on the ground a bit today. It's really swirly down here, Timmy, but it's going to be fantastic. A full house here at the G.
And the other day, Dyson Hempel actually described the two small Carlton forwards as slippery little suckers. I think he got it pretty right too. He's talking about Betts. Just watch Betts there. We're going to freeze the shot there. There's his direct opponent, Mark McVeigh, behind him. He's already given him a little bit of latitude. Betts follows into this play. Just watch what unfolds here. Judd to Betts. Now look at the gap between the two, and that is something that Essendon will be very mindful of today. Betts, such a smart, handy little forward.
Certainly is. And here is Gartlett, Timmy, gaining the ball at half-back as we freeze the play there. He had nothing on down the line, so he came inboard, took on the play, had a bounce, and then delivered the ball. By this time, Eddie Betts was able to get out the back, and when they get space in front of them like that, you cannot stop them, Timmy. They are the key today for the Blues.
Gartlett and also Betts, no goals last week, Richo. Yeah. How many will they need to kick this afternoon?
Look, I think they need at least 5, Timmy. If they do that, Carlton are right in this match.
Dennis, up to you.
Yeah, good on you, Tim. Well, as always, so much responsibility riding on the shoulders of Carlton skipper Chris Judd. He turned 28 back on Thursday. Last time he played a final on this ground, this is interesting, West Coast Eagles won the premiership and he held the cup.
Judd, oh, brilliant gather by the 10, goes with the left foot. How does he manage this? It's supernatural.
Certainly my load this year's been, much lighter from the fact that Murph's had such a strong year. Kate Simpson and Scotland have had career best years. There's no doubt I think I've benefited from that, and obviously the whole side's benefited as well.
Martin attacks, doesn't quite get it. Judd, oh, brilliant. How's that pickup?
Well, he's feeling good. You hear players say it so often, how it feels like such a long year on your body, and then when finals come around, you get that second wind. And if I hadn't experienced it firsthand, I'd sort of watch people say that on telly, and I'd say, well, that just sounds like absolute dribble. When this time of year does bob around, you do get an extra spring in your step.
Oh, Judd gets it brilliantly with the tap. Oh, does he? You betcha.
Essentially, the whole season's really just leading towards this, so to be able to play in finals is, really the whole point of why you do everything. So it's great to, get out there and play for keeps, so to speak.
Forward towards Judd, who gathers around Frawley. Left foot snap is a beauty.
All teams that are still playing this time of year are facing pressure, and that's what you want. The only teams that don't have any pressure on them this time of the year are the ones that have finished up for the season. So, there's pressure on everyone, and we don't try and hide from that. We embrace it and look forward to that as just another challenge.
Sounding very much like an elder statesman there. Hard to imagine he's now 28. Very much the heartbeat of the Blues, Chris Judd. Let's go down to Tom Harley and Luke Hodge.
Thanks very much, Dennis. No doubt the heartbeat of the Blues, Chris Judd. Last time these two sides met, 33 disposals, 7 clearances. Hodgie, how do you stop him at the stoppage?
It will be hard, but one of the main things is you've got to dictate where he stands. You've got to be physical with him, you've got to push him around. Another thing is you've got to change up your position. Start from in front, start from behind, and then the third thing, Juddy loves space. So the best part is get your teammates around, congest the area so he can't move and use his pace.
Do you put a one-on-one matchup, Hocking perhaps?
Yeah, I'd go Hocking. I'd make him work both ways as well. Juddy normally has a bloke following him, so Hocking has to, when Essendon get the ball, he's got to work the other way, push forward, try and get a bit of the ball himself.
There you go, Dan. We're thinking Heath Hocking for Judd and to get plenty of the ball away from the stoppage.
Good on you, Tom. I reckon you're right too. Just looking back over the week, it certainly has been a very busy week. On Wednesday, 19-year-old Dyson Heppel won the NAB Rising Star Award. He became the Bombers' first ever winner.
Oh, that was good.
How's that pickup? Goes bang and kicks the goal.
NAB Rising Star, recipient of the Ron Evans Medal, to Dyson Heppel of the Essendon Football Club.
It is amazing, I guess, to get my name up there amongst the other guys that have won it previously.
One thing that I had was a love for the game, and Dyson's got that love for the game, and a will never to be beaten.
But yeah, at the moment I'm just pinching myself, I suppose, yeah.
Got to have that music of the MCG. That's Brian Mannix in the absolutely 80s. Well, got to say, the 80s were kind to both these clubs who are playing today. They went back to back. But of course, one drops out this afternoon. One will be eliminated. The other gets a chance to keep their dream alive and go to the grand final. You can do that too. Book at afl.com.event office for your official grand final destination and your chance to come to the MCG and see the big game. And there's a man who knows all about the 80s, grew up in the 80s, Dustin Fletcher. He makes a bit of history today. He plays his 23rd final and joins Tim Watson, and certainly he's amongst royalty as far as the players in that group are concerned. He's third all time now with Tim and a couple of greats, a couple of legends just above them. By contrast, a young man makes only his second finals appearance today. That's Michael Hurley. Already, though, so versatile, such a star, and one of the guys today who could very much set the MCG alight.
It's where you want to be. You want to be out on the MCG on a, I suppose, Sunday afternoon in front of, hopefully, 95,000 people. So you play all year for this time of the year, and I'm really excited.
And now Hurley, puts the Bombers back in front.
Well, Hurley's been sensational for me. First day of pre-season, he sort of said to me that he's going to try and settle me down in the forward line, and he said had a lot of faith in me as a player, which has been fantastic. Well, I'm pretty comfortable with either end. It doesn't really bother me. The last half of the season I played predominantly forward, and I really enjoyed that. So I don't really know, but maybe the forward line. I think there's a lot more pressure down back, which I really enjoy. But yeah, the forward line is a bit of fun. As a first-round draft pick, people do expect a little bit more, and I've enjoyed that challenge, and I think it's been great for me in my development.
Hurley peels back on race, gets away from Dawson, runs to 45 and kicks a dream goal.
My form early on was quite good, and then through the middle part of the year, I tore my calf, missed a bit of footy, and I think my form really dropped away. But I think the last sort of, 5-6 weeks, I found my form again, and obviously helped a lot going into finals, and I think that if I can keep that form up, it'll hopefully go okay.
This'll lift them. How good was that? Heavy traffic, goal.
Michael Hurley there, and a live shot of him there on the MCG a couple of moments ago as well, and so much expected from him today. Down on ground level again with Luke Hodge and also Richo. And before we get to you and talk about the major talking points from what's happened so far over the weekend, let's just check the results from the 3 finals games played. As you see there, Friday night, the Cats 2, good for the Hawks by 31. The Pies pushed all the way yesterday by the Eagles before before, they got home by 20 points. And then last night, probably one of the upsets of the weekend, Sydney winning by 25 points at Etihad Stadium over St Kilda. But there's no question about it. One of the major talking points to come out of the football this weekend goes back to Friday night. One of your teammates, Buddy Franklin. Let's just check how it happened. Richo, just talk us through this.
Yeah, it was horrible. He landed with the stiff leg there on his right leg, and when he first went down, that is a horrible feeling when you hyperextend your knee. And there were really grave fears, obviously, that he'd done his ACL. The news is positive. He's only got bone bruising, Hodgie, but how has he pulled up over the weekend?
Yeah, Frankie's always positive, and as you said, there was no structural damage, which is a great sign for the Hawks, and also, and it's just going to be bone bruising, so depending on how quickly he heals, we're not counting him out next week, but it's going to be more unlikely.
Hodgie, it was a tough night for you on Friday night. The big men from the Cats were just outstanding, particularly Brad Ottens. They really got their game going in that second term.
Yeah, you're right. I think they had 22 contested marks for the night, and in wet, dewy conditions, it was a great effort. And as you said, they went tall with West, Ottens, Podsiadly and Hawkins, and they all had a fair impact.
They got the job done at ground level as well, Timmy. It wasn't just in the air like Hawkins there, that goal in the goal square. Very, very good.
Yesterday at the MCG, the Pies were too good for the Eagles. Now, this was a really tough game. They really took it up to it, particularly in that last quarter. I guess one of the major talking points was whether or not Nick Maxwell and Heath Shaw were going to be able to stand up after enforced layoffs. Maxwell was out for a month. Heath Shaw was out for 8 weeks, and they were outstanding, Richo.
They were outstanding. Heath Shaw came back, and his fitness was not a concern. He had the 30 touches, gave them plenty of run and rebound, and Nick Maxwell was fantastic as well. He did the job defensively, he did the hard stuff, and he also gained a little bit of possession, but the biggest advantage with him is just his leadership and control of that back line out on the ground.
Hodgie, outstanding performances from Heath Shaw in particular.
Yeah, exactly right. For a bloke who's spent that much time out to come back and have that impact was great.
And Ryan O'Keefe last night, I mean, he's been okay this season. He hasn't had his best season. Only kicked 13 goals going into the game last night. Kicked 4 in probably a best on ground performance, Luke.
He was outstanding. He started on Goddard, and then when Goddard pushed forward, he went back to his natural half forward, and as you said, kicked 4 straight from set shots, considering he had, I think he'd only kicked 3-10 throughout the season. The damage with that, though, is him and Goods are coming into the finals, are playing their best footy, which is it's worrying us for next week.
And his work rate is just outstanding, Ryan O'Keefe. He works up the ground and back. Getting on the scoreboard last night was a huge bonus for the Swans.
Hodgie, how far do you think the Swans can push through the final series?
Well, hopefully they're out next week because we've got them. So, but as I said, they're playing their best footy this time, and it's going to be a good game next week.
Well, Tom Harley's down in the bowels of the MCG. Down to you, Tom.
Thanks very much, Tim. I actually haven't been down in the bowels of the MCG this close to game since when I played. It's a fantastic atmosphere. You really cut the tension with a knife. Moments ago, Chris Judd led the team in, the Carlton team in, was really comfortable, really relaxed. Not much was being spoken, but it's a big game for Carlton, obviously. A lot of pressure on Brett Ratton. Their form's been good. They've got to take their confidence in, and they'll be reinforcing what made them a good side. They'll be reinforcing the fact you've got to win the contested ball. So just driving home those contest-by-contest moments. Coming through to Essendon now, came in moments earlier. The Bombers probably a less experienced side, but you couldn't help but look at the coaching staff where there's Mark Thompson, there's Brendan McCartney. They've got a new fitness department in who's been at Geelong and also been part of these types of these games in the past. So massive game here, really exciting. About 10 minutes to go. Loser goes home, and for the winner, greatness awaits.
Greatness is no more second chances. It doesn't play safe or leave anything in the tank. That time is over. It will not go quietly. Greatness pays the price. Greatness, it will not be stopped.
The day of reckoning. The resurgent Bombers taking off with new direction.
Talk about exclamation mark!
And Carlton, where the tide of expectation rises every season, and anything less than victory will be deemed failure.
It is raining Carlton goals.
They're the best of enemies. Carlton and Essendon, they share a deep-seated rivalry and long memories.
Bill's lost his headband now. Yeah, well, that's... There's the siren. Victory
There's no better feeling than nailing the arch enemy. Carlton's success starved supporters have been promised their first finals win for 10 years. Now they must deliver. Essendon knows that finals floggings leave a bitter taste.
So Adelaide win by a record margin.
And wouldn't they love to extinguish the Blues' premiership hopes?
A win that could redefine this football club.
Today's plot is a timeless story.
That's it, it's a draw.
Two proud and famous clubs yearning to regain their greatness.
What a goal!
To be up where they belong.
Judd, brilliant!
This is cutthroat finals football.
Lee, what do you reckon they'll be feeling right now?
Well, it's the moment of truth. It's a long season. You get to September, all the mental demons are floating around, all the uncertainties, what's going to happen next. But that's the competitor's challenge, to overcome all that periphery and go and perform.
And they would have seen the Saints go down last night. They'd know that it's such a hollow feeling. And Hawthorn on Friday night, you know, for 10 minutes feeling almost completely bereft. So the Blues, one last message.
That's John Donoghue, actually, their tackling coach. Really well known for his tackling technique work. Has worked with the Melbourne Storm quite a lot. He was giving a bit of a rev up there.
Out come the enemy, the Bombers. So a lot talked about Carlton not winning a final for 10 years. Essendon hasn't won one since 2004, so between them they haven't won a final for 7 years. Let's go down to Tim Watson, who's got James Hird with him. Tim.
Well, Hirdy, I'm warm and you're not, but how are you feeling? You look like you're nice and relaxed.
Yeah, good. Look, the boys have had a fantastic year. Really good 2 weeks of preparation after the Port Adelaide game, and you know they'll give their best today.
What would you prefer, coming into a finals game as a player or a coach?
Oh, you love to be out there playing. There's no doubt playing MCG in front of this crowd is one of the special moments in your life, but coaching comes a very close second.
Sleep okay last night?
Very well, very well.
You've had 2 weeks to prepare for this. How many what-ifs have you played in your mind in that time?
Yeah, a lot. Like we've played a lot of what to do with their midfield, how to run with their midfield, what we should be doing around the contest, who we should be playing, but now it's about to happen, so it's very exciting for us.
Can you exploit their lack of height down back?
Certainly hope so. Probably the wind doesn't help us too much. You know, the ball's going to float around a bit, but we hope to get a lot of entries in our forward line and see if, you know, Hurley and our forward line can really take some marks.
What do you want to see from your team in the first couple of minutes of this game?
I think the intensity of the ball, you know, look after the contest on the inside, and if you do that, you're a good chance. If we don't compete with them inside, Judd, Murphy, Gibbs, you know, Scotland, Simpson will get hold of us. So we need to be very competitive around the ball.
Any thought of having a shave this morning?
I forgot about that, sorry, Tim. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
They know each other well. Tim was at the end of a glorious career in '93 when Hirdy was just starting, when they beat the Blues, the Baby Bombers, in 1993. So here's the lineup. Fletcher comes back. Dennis has mentioned 23rd final equals Tim. Only Bill Hutchison and Dick Reynolds have played in more finals for the Bombers, and Heath Hocking. But Hurley was mentioned, wasn't he, by James Hird? Only his second final. He's kicked 8 goals in his last 2 matches this season against the Dogs and also against Port Adelaide. You reckon when things are tough, he's the go-to man, don't you? You think he could stick a mark and kick a goal under pressure?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are really good conditions out there for him, and just the way he's been launching at the ball has just been outstanding of late.
And Dyson Heppel, one of the rising star, the best first-year player, and he's built like an 18-year-old, which is even better. But he has had a really good, consistent year from NRB Cup through to the end of the year.
And Cole Hardingham, he's going to play an interesting role. I wouldn't be too surprised if you saw him play on Betts. He needs to use his aerial prowess, take the ball in the air, because if the ball hits the ground, Betts and Garland in particular become very important.
Well, we spoke before about the height in the Essendon forward line. I think the bloke I want to watch is Paddy Ryder. He can push into the ruck as well, and I think he loves a big occasion. He's won an Anzac Day medal, so I think I'm looking for big things from him today.
So here come the Blues. Had the bye in round 23. Of course, the Bombers had the bye in round 24. Carlton, meanwhile, in round 24, were losing to the Saints. Chris Judd playing his 14th final. And it's turned into a very pretty day here at the MCG. The winner, well, the prize is a trip to Perth. Out they come, qualifying leg wins, 7 losses, 1 draw. We described him Blues before the game. He's very much that, but he's got a good dust in the midfield. And they'll need to be good this afternoon. Carlton onto the ground. The loser is out of the final series. And the Blues looking at their selections this week. 4 changes. Matthew Cruiser is injured. Jared Waite was never a chance. Kate Simpson has got a remarkable streak going. It's now 143 consecutive games, which is a Carlton club record. He's coming off a career high of 40 possessions in that loss against the Saints. So, despite his age, he's not that old, of course, but he's in stellar form.
And Lockie Henderson, I think because Michael Jammers has been a bit injured of late, he'll probably play on Hurley. 2 young key position players going to be very important today, one would think. But he's been pretty good the last couple of months, Henderson, when he's gone back into defence.
The game certainly won and lost in the midfield, and Mark Murphy is crucial, has a great balance between contested and uncontested possessions. Brett Ratton put the pressure on the other A-graders around Judd to provide that support, and Mark Murphy is certainly blue chip, needs a big game.
And up forward as well, Walker, he's had an outstanding season this year. Probably he's their full forward. So they got Eddie Betts and Garlett running around below his feet, but I think he's going to have a big impact today as well.
He's had a wonderful season. Hard to imagine. We're talking about him as a possible trade late last season. And there's a man relishing the situation.
He's rugged up now, Dennis. I reckon he'll have that jacket off because it's getting very warm in the coach's box.
Oh, yes. It will be hot regardless this afternoon of the MCG. The West Coast Eagles are waiting in Perth for the winners, and the losers are out. It's Carlton and Essendon.
The Brownlow, the Norm Smith, Premiership captain. Only 2 footballers in history have achieved all 3. Both are legends, James Hird and Chris Judd. Who will be the winner today? The legend off the field or the legend on the field?
Gee, the ultimate trilogy, isn't it? I mean, the Brownlow, the Norm Smith medal, and a captain of Premiership team. So they have something in common, Hird and Judd. They both can rise to the occasion, but it's Judd's turn today, isn't it? Biggest crowd for the weekend by far. You would think it's going to get close to 90,000. 89,000, the biggest we've had this season on Anzac Day. And we're just about ready for the national anthem. So these 2 teams are most successful in the history of the VFL/AFL. Line up to do battle yet again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Australian Football League and our premier partner Toyota welcome you to the first elimination final here at the MCG. Would you now please join with the coaches, players and umpires as we stand for the Australian national anthem.
Fourth time this weekend, the roar of the crowd at a big finals game. None bigger than this one as we go down to the boys on the boundary. Tim and Richo.
Well, really stirring stuff then, Richo. There's no doubt about that. There is genuine feeling between these two clubs. Now, hatred is a very strong word, but it's bordering on that when you talk about Essendon and Carlton fans. Richo, I sent you on assignment before. I sent you out into the middle of the MCG. I wanted you to check out the wind conditions. What can you tell us?
Well, I am your lucky, Timmy, and I did walk out to the middle, and the breeze is definitely favouring the writer's screen for the viewers at home, and it is quite strong. Goal kicking and marking today is going to be pretty tough.
So Chris Judd wins the toss, and Carlton will go to the city end. Look at that blue sky in the background. Far cry from what we had on Friday night. Interesting, we've got this crowd up around the 90,000 mark, we think. Certainly it'll finish that way. But if you look at the betting on the finals, probably these two clubs thought of as the least likely to win the premiership. It's ironic, isn't it? They turned out for this one this afternoon.
And they have turned out in their drives. There'll be 90,000 here, no doubt. Really does send a shiver up your spine when the national anthem comes, and got to say, I'd love to be out there playing.
And it says, Tom, it is tribal, isn't it?
It is.
It's about beating Essendon and or Carlton, depending on your allegiance. And the premiership, well, that'll take care of itself. Just want to talk about Kyle Hardingham too. He really does, as we look at the players we're going to talk about. I'll get back to Hardingham in a moment, boys.
Hurley and Fletcher, amazing. Hurley 21, Fletcher 36. I reckon Hurley's probably the key to their marking power in the forward line, and Fletcher is still the key to their aerial strength in the defence for Essendon. Two really important players at opposite ends of their career.
Will be really interesting to see where Fletcher goes. See Eddie Betts on the bottom left down there. Kicked 8 goals against the Blues the last time. Looms as a really significant player. As Richo said, contested marks might be difficult given the weather conditions, and Chris Judd's certainly the man at the moment. The fact he's the Northside medalist, Brownlow medalist, premiership captain speaks huge.
Hardingham has gone to Betts, but he's actually probably the perfect match for both Betts and Walker. I've only got one of him. The umpires this afternoon, Rosebery, Stevick and Meredith. The first elimination final, the last final of the weekend. Winner goes to Perth, and away we go. Well, the ruckman touched the ball right, or a half chance. Murphy, little looping hand pass over the top. Dygan dragged off the football. Well done by Stanton. Feeds it back, taken by Myers. Myers goes down towards half forward. Yaron hit the ball hard. In trouble, Dygan. Down he goes. Watson got him, and the umpire calls for it.
Interesting matchups down the Carlton forward line. Thornton starting forward. Mitch Robinson trying to tag Fletcher. Fletcher trying to get to Thornton.
Warnock knocks it down, goes after his own ball, immediately claimed, and the umpire will do it again.
It's interesting when that happens in that situation, when Robinson's trying to get to Fletcher, as you said, Tom, and then Thornton and Heppel's then able to float clear. So if Fletcher can be disciplined on Thornton, it becomes a real plus for Essendon.
Just outside the 50, Ryder goes up, wins decisively. Bombers on the attack. Joseph does brilliantly. Spins out of trouble. High ball towards the wing. Loose at the back. It's gathered by Betts. He's away. Sends it down towards half forward. Robinson tracks the ball towards the attacking 50. Looks inside. Measures the kick on the bounce. O'Halpin back to Betts. He's run a mile. He had the ball at half-back, took the stab, kicks it behind.
We highlighted Hardingham before the game, and the matchup eventuated on Betts exactly for that reason, to take marks and not get the ball to the ground, drop the mark. We saw what Betts can do.
Dangerous kick out. Gee, that's a good effort by Simpson. To Murphy, and Murphy, beautiful kick to O'Halpin. And a little jig from the Irishman there. Fist pump.
It's always a bit demoralising when the kicking goes straight to the opposition like that, because it just bounces back so quickly. The defence is completely outpositioned.
He's a story, O'Halpin. He didn't play for 11 matches until the Saints. He kicked 4 against the Saints. So he's been accurate from set shots. It's one of those players, through his career, he's had bursts of a good month, has been unable to sustain a big season. But when he's going, he's a dangerous player. Yeah. After all of that, he misses On a windy day, Carlton with the scoring end have had 2 shots, both gettable, and they lead by 2 behinds.
It really does put the pressure on, doesn't it, to come back into a team after missing so much footy. And suddenly, you get that first kick at goal. All the pressure comes down on his shoulders at the back of the pack. Joseph with somebody quickly down on him. That was Monfries. Ball just trickles a couple of metres away, and the umpire again will bounce it. So a few stoppages to start proceedings on this Sunday afternoon, and there's an indication of the breeze whipping across the ground. Warnock doing well, puts it wide for Judd. Now here's a chance. Judd runs to 50. Is it the fairy tale start? Not quite.
This was ominous, though. Exactly what Luke Hodge spoke about before the game. Bursting at the stoppage. Essendon players lost the touch and feel and then didn't have the other player in front to block the run, and that's the damage he can do.
I think it's about the sweetest kick he's kicked all year, to be honest. He struck that perfectly, but it didn't result in a goal. Yaron brilliantly on Jezza, and again they've missed. Well, Betts and Judd weren't easy. Yaron pretty easy, and no help on the same. So 4 shots.
It's early in the game, but the way the wind's blowing up there, there is no such thing as an easy shot. That ball is going to be blown everywhere off course.
Fletcher took a chance, but Myers was okay. Kicks to a contest. They're playing corridor footy. Davies not at full speed yet, and they've got him. Who had the footy? Well, he was going half pace, Davey. It's a free to Carlton, I think.
Wow.
Had to be holding the ball.
What was he doing?
No, what's holding?
He was in cruise control, wasn't it?
It was like he was running in camembert cheese.
He was running into the wind.
Well, that's how strong it is.
So Carlton bring it out. Davey, eh? We've said before, more dangerous without the ball and with it. Close to the boundary line. Opportunity for O'Halpin. Keeps it alive at least initially. Pears taken down by Dygan. And the umpire calls for it.
It's great chase. Exactly what Brett Ratton would want to see from Mark Murphy.
Murphy is quick by the same token. Robert Murray, Ryder, Watson in trouble. Ball spills from Warnock towards Murphy. He couldn't control it. Carranza was there and the ball's out of bounds.
Judd's off. Gibbs actually started the game on the bench, and Gibbs is the player who's gone into the midfield for Carlton.
So Carlton, the flurry of points, lead by those 4. Taken by Watson directly onto the chest of Dygan.
One of the many great stories that you have each year, Dygan. Touched off the boot. 27-year-old in his first season. Garland, Carrazzo decides to bomb a high ball in. Thornton, Robinson, O'Halpin was at the back. Robinson to Thornton. Tried to tap it onto Walker. Simpson couldn't quite get down. Pears. Robinson's busy early. Good looking kick. And another behind. They're not missing by much, but they are missing. And Luke Hodges looking on and thinking, didn't we do this on Friday night? Kick a lot of points in the opening term.
Myers outside the defensive 50. And sometimes this start, the first 5 minutes or so, doesn't stand for much. It really just tells you who perhaps is emotionally up, at least in the short term. Quite often, one team or other takes a while to settle down. Heppel gets it from Hill, goes to half forward. This is Hurley, like a waiter with room service, but then smothered off his boot, goes out of bounds. Dygan getting there.
Just see Michael Hurley on screen, elected to take the ball on his chest. Would have loved to have seen him out with arms stretched, plunk the mark.
He'll learn from that. He's good enough. What a star. We said earlier, so versatile. Lovett Murray gets a second chance and onto the chest of Carlisle, if you don't mind.
It's the value of the quick forward. Most of the time, the forwards can actually read it better. Always that basic principle. Defender has to have one eye on his opponent, whereas the forward should be able to be first to react to that kind of quick kick forward.
So, 5 behinds at the other end, including a poster on the run from Chris Judd. Suddenly, with one scoring shot here, they could take the lead, the Bombers. And they have. The irony of the beginning.
So
The scoreboard tells the tale, doesn't it? Carlisle, of course, in that forward 50. The last time he played against Carlton, Walker was high on his shoulders, taking the screamer of the year. So the Blues trail by a point after having 5 scoring shots early. Murphy held on to by Hocking. Hocking getting down low and dirty. He likes all that, Ellard with him. Ball up. So we all settle now, don't we? I mean, scores are about level, even though Carlton have had the most of it. About 70% to 30 in the forward half. Third man up effective there. Monfries just couldn't get a handle. Scotland, Gibbs, Ellard slow. Hurley's got him. And I think it'll be a ball up.
Just the intensity we saw with young Shuey with West Coast yesterday. And now Ellard, and a great tackle from Heppel. Just the intensity of finals footy, it's up. You've got to take the first option.
Bounce down towards half forward for the Bombers, who lead by a point. Wide of the pack, it's picked up by Melksham. Down towards full forward, Jamieson. Well, possibly his first fitness test of the afternoon. Passed it with flying colours. Yaron goes back to the opposite pocket. Laidler. What a fine acquisition he's been this season from the Cats. Just slotted in from day one. He kicks to the outer side. Missed by Judd. Gathered by Ryder. Kept coming. Heppel got it from Stanton. The short one to Remus.
And that was the first option. If you look at Heppel there, just the 2 steps and got the ball off really balanced. Didn't try to overcomplicate things.
Interesting, Remus has got the Yaron match-up, and Yaron is going to run the ball out of defence at every opportunity. I think that probably partly is a defensive role, but partly Remus can demand the footy and will test Yaron's ability to actually defend.
Distance won't be a problem. Kyle Remus, young West Australian, goes from 50, and that is very precise. 2 kicks, 2 goals. Essendon skip away.
Really made his mark when he kicked the 8 against the Suns early in the season, didn't he? And he's been a regular since then. 26 goals this year. Really finding his feet after about 4 seasons. So another clearance this time. Howlett, Armfield, Davey. Armfield wide, Murphy. He made it a good bounce, Murphy. He started well. Hook around the corners of beauty to Ellard. Davey quickly onto the mark. So Carlton just need to steady here. They've had plenty of footy, we know that, but they're a goal and a bit down. Long ball in. Betts was lurking. Well done, though, by Hardingham. Belted it away. Hocking gets some distance to a contest. Remus taken down in the tackle by Joseph. McVeigh fended off cleverly. Carlisle ricochets off him. Murphy. Oh, caught. Gone.
Legged.
Oh, it's Murphy's free kick.
Tripped him up. Mark Murphy. Tripped up.
Just slipped down a bit.
Yeah, unfortunate. Had him cold. It hadn't been for that.
Ball bit, and then Yaron forced wide, kicks the ball out on the full. But there's Yaron, and also Remus will be not only standing in, he'll be in his face as well.
Good follow-up there by Kyle Remus. Gave away the free kick, straight back on and put the pressure on Yaron.
Pears, meantime, goes short. Zaharakis. He's really come on this season. Almost an elite midfielder now. Drives it down towards the attacking 50. Henderson does well. Thought about going. Can't. He was well forward of the mark. Now slips a hand pass away to Yaron. Yaron runs the outer side again. Ambitious run down by Ryder. The much taller man. Certainly not the slower man that time. Did brilliantly to Myers. Myers a penetrating kick inside the forward 50. Henderson goes back, knocks it down. Monfries a chance. Vacant goal. Puts it through. They've got 3.
It's a high-pressure game at the moment. Chris Yaron's had a forgettable last 3 or 4 minutes, but just the pressure, Essendon really exerting it around the contest, and 90,000 people here, and Angus Monfries enjoyed every bit of that.
Just 3 goals in his last 6 matches, Monfries, but he's been playing more high half-forward midfield. So Carlton suddenly 13 points behind. Need the next goal. Heppel over the top, and it's going to be a ball.
I mentioned that point before, Tom, of Chris Yaron has made a few mistakes. That living in the moment rather than thinking what just happened a minute or 2 ago. It's a challenge every week, let alone finals.
So the clearance for the Bombers. Armfield with pace. Jetta. Stanton helped to corral. Armfield's done well here and kept the ball in. Walker attacked it hard, and the Betts was lurking.
Just looking down at that Carlton forward line at the minute, you got Walker, Betts, Robinson, who's playing negative on Fletcher, Thornton and Ellard. There's no marking targets down there. Their last forward entry they bombed. They're not going to be able to do that.
Boundary throw in. O'Halpin. Heppel left it behind. Not so Watson. Did brilliantly. Lovely kick to a little chip to the wing. Honoured the lead coming from Ryder, who wheels around. Told to play on now. Goes down towards the 50. Up comes Hill. Hill about 75 metres from goal. Laidler was there. Put him down. Now it's going to be a relayed free kick, as if he took him high. So a relayed free kick.
He had kicked the ball on play.
About 25 metres out for Reamers. So after a string of behinds, Essendon have got 3 straight goals. So far, they've been like Matthew McConaughey in a singles bar. They can't miss. Reamers. Just inside the far post, you would think. Well, he actually took me at my word. I meant goalpost. He's got it right out to the right.
And the Bombers are winning the mental battle at the moment. I think Carlton taking their eye off the ball. That hit by Laidler is a classic example. He's got to win the ball at the coalface.
Jamison with the aid. Maybe that breeze has kicked the ball almost. In fact, now over the centre square. In the circle where they bounce the ball. Fletcher around the corner. Zaharakis. Now he's got Watson and he uses him. And then Watson with another lovely kick. He's finding targets, Watson. It's Carlisle who kicked the opening goal. Hurley underneath. Henderson. Milsham got it from Zaharakis. Back to Carlisle. Davey sets himself. He won't go. He'll wait down. Jetta. Gibbs. Ellard. Back to Henderson. Henderson doesn't get much on the kick. Carlisle, good start for him. Back to Zaharakis. He just fell over the wrong time. Betts puts the tackle on. Milsham keeps a bit of control. Now the ball's got to come out, and it'll be a ball up. So Essendon in their forward 50 or right on the cusp and lead 19-5.
Playing with a lot of energy now, the Bombers. They'll be hard to get back in the box. Carlton really have to work double time here. Here's Watson with other ideas against the boundary and just misses. Gee, that was a nice kick.
Would have been the impossible kick given the breeze.
Yep. The Bombers with 7 of the last inside 50s. Gibbs. Nice kick outside the 50. Hill affected the pack, knocked it down in front, taken by Simpson, kicks it up towards the wing. Myers has had a fair bit of the footy, running out of space there. Not sure what he was thinking. Just bullocked across the line, boundary throw in.
I think Essendon defended that kick in with relatively a man-to-man approach. I think that's part of just making sure that Carlton can't get clear and link up running-wise.
9 minutes out from quarter time. Melksham onto the loose ball, dragged down. Carranzo on top, and the umpire will ball it up. Chris Judd hasn't had a lot of the football so far. Just the one kick hit the post. Having said that, the way he got the ball was enough to send shivers up the Bomber fans' spines. Armfield at close quarters. Scotland gives it back to Yaron. Yaron goes with the outside of the boot. Into the path of Garlett. Garlett runs to the 50, spots a man on the move. O'Halpin couldn't hang on. Loose ball. Pears and O'Halpin close to the boundary line. Taken across by Myers. Well disguised, well played. Throw in coming up.
Got to hit their targets, like Richard talked about.
I wonder whether Garlett should have used his speed and taken off anyway. Tried to have a go himself.
Warnock, well read by Milsham. And then comes out wide. A defensive kick. Murphy couldn't quite take the mark. Scotland. Back turn was good. Joseph will probably go back to Judd and Ryder, who's had to, not a lot of the ball, but he's done some good things, chasing down Yaron and that, and a couple of other things.
Just early stages, Hill and Ryder look a little bit more dangerous in that ruck combination. You know, the combination of what happens in the air and then what happens at ground level in the flow.
So Judd, a quiety start. That kick a goal might have made a difference had it gone through. Warnock belting forward. Fletcher in the front. Doesn't fall over too often, Fletcher, but that... Well, he's found touch for how many times do you reckon, Dennis, in his career? About 5,000, I would have thought.
Well, could even be more, Bruce, because he had a rule change in there as well, which made it more difficult to do. When he first started, it was almost carte blanche. From the boundary throw in, Carrazza, Gibbs off his step inside the forward 50. Coming hard, Robinson, well done. That was terrific. Robinson wanted it most. Now he's got a problem. Dragged to the ground. Zaharakis gave it to Fletcher. That was a fine tackle earlier by Lovett Murray. Ball bounces towards the outer side. Yaron, that was good under pressure. Sweeping hand pass out wide came from Gibbs. Now an opportunity for Gibbs as he sends it long down towards full forward. Punched from behind by Pears. On his knees, Thornton. Pears, full revolution. Well done, Lovett Murray. Well done, Fletcher. Well, about 5 metres worth of well done. Carrazza across the body. And the mark is taken by O'Halpin. Wants to go. It was a touch on for his sake. He's got the goal.
This is exactly the all's well, it ends well. But if that had been touched off the boot, it just... I mean, it was a bad decision.
Yep.
It ended up okay, but it was a poor decision to play on from about 8 metres out from goal.
He's been playing his first final today, Satanta. So he's had a couple of shots on goal and he's been nervy, but he has scored. Hocking belts it forward, kicking it out of the air. Hurley, lovely pick-up, takes Henderson on and sprays it. Good movement by Hurley, though, at full pace there. And a terrific opening term. We've got a big post-match coming up afterwards. Luke Hodge with us, along with Collingwood coach Mickey Malthouse at the end of the match. So, Yaron's long ball. Carlton kicking it long and sort of the contest from the kick-ins. Zaharakis, Stanton protected the footy really well. Davey, Watson, cleverish kick, but Stanton couldn't quite. Laidler belts it out, just wants some distance, buying a bit of time. It'll come back, we know that, but they've been able to regroup Carlton in that time.
Howlett looks inside, goes very short to Melcham. He's been busy. Melcham, half-distance kick, Hocking. This time he's away from Judd. He's about 75 metres out, doesn't spend much time away from the Carlton captain. Punched away by Henderson out of bounds.
Impressive by Essendon at the moment. Clearly a one-on-one focus. Want to win the contested possession, and they've squeezed right up and got every player in the front half of the ground, but still in a one-on-one setup.
You can see that Hocking has found his man again. There they are. Judd, Hocking, wrestled down. Not before the hand pass came across towards some support. Laidler initially, and now Jamison's kick is not flash. Out of bounds on the full.
They've bombed a couple of those kick-ins up the middle, Essendon. I'm not quite sure that's very good. Sorry, Carlton. That's not very good policy when you're probably kicking, I don't know where the wind's behind your back there.
Hurley, too strong. And the umpire 5 metres away said it was okay.
It's been a tough kick. We saw Joe Watson have one when he played on, going right into the teeth of the breeze. That's just a good mark.
Strong mark, isn't it?
So Michael Hurley, only his second final. And the longer the season went, the better he got. Mr. Versatile stabs it towards goal and does what Watson did. Misses near side. That breeze whipping down the ground towards that end. Awkward angles on the breeze, but it's almost impossible to get that ball past that near goal post from that angle.
So their last 4 scoring shots behind. Now Scotland, Betts. Now he's got Walker on his own, 20 metres from goal. He's still on his own, 20 metres from goal. Armfield's going to finally get to him and got him. Is it 50?
Just unfortunately, he was actually on his own in the goal square, but the kick was held up enough that the ball was forced away from the like that key point-blank range.
It was extra. I think it needed to go one further to Armfield.
30 goals, 7 from set shots. This is a tough one, though. He improves the angle and kicks the goal. Carlton coming back strongly now.
Yeah, Chris Judd's had a quieter start, but Hocking is wearing him like a glove. Just watching around the stoppages at the moment, I haven't seen a lot of his Carlton teammates trying to put some blocks on Heath Hocking. He needs a little bit of help there, no doubt.
Margin 5 points now. Bombers on top at Carlton. Have enjoyed a good period of play with some accuracy. Warnock forcing forward. Standing his ground is Heppel. Trying to crash his way through is Walker, who got that last goal, and the umpire will again bounce it up. Seen a lot of that this afternoon.
Judd come off the back of the centre square there just to try and mess up the Essendon matchups a little.
Ryder wins it down. Hocking put the body in. Comes wide to Heppel. Goes back to Fletcher. Fletcher the high ball towards the wing. Difficult one. The breeze actually took it away from the two who thought they were in best position. Monfries took the mark and he was almost setting up to Crum. He sends it down towards the 50. Wonderful. Hurley breaks away. Centering kick. Can Remus get there? No. Taken by Joseph. How was that for a mark? Tricky conditions. One-hander if you don't mind.
Got Walker long here.
With the club record streak of consecutive games. The kick from Simpson comes towards Walker. Punched down in front by Walker. Cast in the role eventually of a defender. Great shepherd from Walker. Release Carazzo. Kicks it up towards half forward. Hardingham to Zaharakis. Throw.
So the advantage to Warnock, who's behind the plate. Gee, look at the distance there. That's a great kick over the top. And Garlick surely
just kicked to space. That was a fantastic kick there by Warnock. You wouldn't isolate Garlick one-on-one like that with a long ball in, but he just had the space to work in, and the kick certainly took him there.
It was the throw that got that free kick. It was a handball, it wasn't a throw.
Poor call.
Geez, a long kick, Warnock, but that one, I reckon, really hit the sweet spot. Probably got the wind as well.
Well, no doubt they've got the wind behind them in this quarter, Carlton. It's been a twist, hasn't it? They couldn't kick a goal early and Essendon couldn't miss, and suddenly it's the reverse. This will be, again, a very good kick, and he's kept it low and he's done it. The Blues are in front again.
People think you know Jack Keenan. A whole family butchered.
Looking forward to that one too. Hawthorn and the Sydney Swans. Very impressive last night, Sydney.
Pop Jamison over onto Hurley. It's an early call to swap the defensive matchup.
Warnock wins this one down. We've got a whistle, and it's going to be a holding free against the Bombers. It'll go to Murphy. Murphy in the centre circle, drives it down towards half forward, hangs a long time in the air. Free kick will go to Heppel against Gibbs. So Heppel in his defensive 50.
See, that's an enticing matchup, Gibbs and Heppel, isn't it? The great number one against the rising star. That's not a good kick by Heppel. Henderson, Armfield, a hard runner, kicks the ball to the pocket.
Oh.
Clever. Garlick was there. Armfield raised his eyes.
It was a really clever goal that Garlick kicked just before when he punched it low. Obviously different pocket this time, but the breeze should favour.
But he's in the Walker pocket. He's further out, similar angle.
I'll back him in from here.
Just so important that Garlick got a good start today.
Yeah,
You want Betts also to get an early goal, don't you? Walker's got it, Garlick's got it. Let's see how he plays this one. It's a good kick.
Gee.
That is a great kick. Well, Garlick has stamped himself on this match, hasn't he? 2 goals from pockets.
It's a terrific kick. Great confidence to have a go from there, keeping the ball low. Career high 6 goals against the Bombers last year. Eddie Betts 8 goals against the Bombers.
It's a great shot, isn't it?
Well, we'll see a lot of goals kicked over the coming weeks of the finals. Doubt we'll see many better than that one as the ball runs inside the forward 50 for the Bombers, getting back Jamison. Suddenly a sense of confidence. Even with Yaron, that's a beautiful ball coming out. Into the path of Dygan, runs the outer side wing. Coming on the angle is Watson. Dygan pulls it around the corner. O'Halpin won't get there in time. Crashing the pack and doing well was Hill. Now a chance for the Bombers. Pearce goes back to Watson. Gives it across to the veteran. And Fletcher finds Hill. Hill just jabs it to the wing, and the mark is taken by Monfries. Just got to take control of this game. Get control back, Essendon. They had it early. After that initial onslaught by the Blues. So 5 minutes in, they grab control, but it's gone again. This is Laidler. Kicks beyond the wing. Hill in best position, outmanoeuvred. Well, they had two quality players there, Essendon. Gibbs took the mark. Some indecision, lack of understanding, call it what you like. Walker snaps towards goal. Has he got the angles right? Harding hammers down there, tackle from behind. Had it a long time. Jarred out of there, picked up by Myers. Myers straight to Gibbs.
Hardingham just need to get the ball through the behind post.
He can go all the way here, Gibbs. I mean, this is right where he'd like it, with a bit of breeze behind him. He could slot this for sure.
Just got to be careful, don't you? The quick kick out of defence has to go really wide. You have to test the out-of-bounds rule a little bit and kick it within 5 or 10 metres of the boundary. Down the centre corridor a bit, you're in trouble.
Started interchange, as Tom said. Been playing basically at half forward on Heppel. Had a bit of the ball late in the quarter. He's a beautiful kick. Well, he hasn't done well there, so he's missed the lot. But Carlton with a terrific finish there. They had all the scoring early, couldn't buy a goal. Essendon kicked 3, but Carlton have come back strongly, admittedly with a scoring in. What a Sunday afternoon we've got in store for you. It's 29-22. It's the Blues over the Bombers.
Quarter time in the first elimination final, and it's Carlton as they did in round 18, leading by 7 points that day, of course. They went on to win by 74 points. Not suggesting that will happen today. Richo is ready for us with another Richo, Alan Richardson, a former Essendon assistant, now with Carlton.
Well, Richo, that last 15 minutes really got your game going. How did you guys see it?
Yeah, no, look, they were a bit more desperate than us early, Richo, but we thought our boys really cracked him, particularly clearances got on top there, and that was really impressive.
Now, there is a pretty stiff breeze here. We have to change your ball movement going into it.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt we'll have to lower our eyes a little bit. It's, you know, it's going to get held up a little bit if we go along, and on the flip side, we just got to make sure they don't get out the back of us.
Good luck. Over to you, Tim. You've been having a look at the Carlton small forwards.
Well, I have, Richo, but something else has happened in the meantime now. Essendon's injury curse has struck again in the first quarter. Tate Pears was subbed out of the game in round 18 against Carlton, and there he is on the bench again. Now, it appeared to be a lower leg injury, so Travis Collier has been activated. He did have a cracked fibula, and it was only just a hairline crack. They weren't particularly concerned about it. They didn't think that it was going to open up, but obviously he has been in extreme discomfort in the early part of this game, and that's the end of the day for him.
So the small man, Collier, comes in. Not exactly apples for apples, or apples for pears. They've got problems. Collier, though, a good runner. Maybe, who knows? Could be handy the longer it goes. Judd just 2 possessions. Started the second term. His Blues up by 7. Wide of the pack. Judd got a hand to it. Stanton was coming off the line. Ellard going nowhere. Ryder only as far as Warnock, who battles on. Warnock well done on the ground. Fights a draw.
You mentioned the Pears and Collier coming in. It's not such a bad thing. Structurally, I don't think Pears being out will hurt Essendon too much. What will hurt them is Carlton's leg speed around the ground. Collier can add a bit there.
Well, I'll take Pears. He's had a terrible run, hasn't he, with injuries? In the past, a couple of serious injuries. In trouble. Murphy hit the ground hard. Picked up by Ellard. Kicks it down towards half forward. Bounces on its point. Knocked out of there by Myers. Stanton over the top. Fletcher with some time. Taking all of it too. Under pressure now. Gets the kick off though. Intended for Melksham. Went past him. Yaron held without it by Jeddah. Play-on's the call. Over the football, Joseph just paddles it across towards Scotland. Scotland to Yaron. Yaron not his best effort. A very high kick. They wait for it to come down. And the man who made it his own was Thornton. Launching himself from behind. Little chip out wide. Now Scotland, generally a good user of the ball. Plenty of time to the pocket. And he finds Walker. And the kick wasn't bad, but the effort of Walker was even better. Body to body.
He had the size advantage over Heppel and used it well with just his leverage.
Myers needed to go there.
I have fond memories of this pocket, of course. This is where he took the mark over Carlisle. late in the season. Kick is on the way, and again it misses to the near side. So that's the form coming out of that pocket. I've said it before, it is a very hard goal to kick.
Fletcher quite often actually goes long down the middle. Let's see if he's winded his back, how he goes about it. Not this time.
Gee, Myers looked a bit short when he first kicked it. So Myers on the wrong side for him, and that's slow to Hardingham. Can't quite take the mark. He was the only player that didn't have a disposal in the opening term, Hardingham. High ball in. O'Halpin. Lovett Murray had a bit of it, the Irishman, and then sprays it. Had a bit more time, I think, than he realised at the end.
He does kick those snaps really aggressively, even with the goal he got from 10 metres out down the other end. Just kicks it really hard, and I guess when you kick it that hard, you're more of a chance to spray it also.
He's had 3 shots on goal. Now that's a good kick. That is a good kick and a great result. Myers running onto it. And then a little kick, okay. Back from Hurley to Myers. Jamison to try and corral him. Myers, Jetta versus Yaron. Jetta got a hand to it. Yaron sweats on him. No free kick. Good decision, I think. Henderson over the top. That ball now slinging out. And Hurley can't keep it in, but Essendon get it out of the danger zone for the moment.
Just on that kick in, what Carlton did so well in the last quarter was get there and then get over the top. Here's the tackle from Yaron. That's a really pleasing thing to see. Essendon don't have that same leg speed inside their forward 50.
Margin 9 points. Judd from the clearance kicks it up towards the wing. Myers has been good to Heppel. Confronted by Murphy. Can't take any liberties there. Kick not good. Gibbs. Punishing kick towards right half forward. Robinson now in behind the defence. A chipping kick intended for Walker. Too far away from him. And maybe the breeze just pushing that ball too close to the goals there. Robinson acknowledging, my bad. I speak it, Bruce, that stuff.
Then they started like they did in the opening term with a lot of points. Carlton in a different way. Well done, Watson to Monfries. That was clever enough, though. Lovett Murray had not 1 but 3 to beat, and he's gone. Carazzo. He's only played a couple of the last 8 matches, Carazzo. Kicks the ball in. O'Halpin again. Hardingham just hasn't been able to get hold of it yet. And that's a free kick against the Blues.
Clear it out now.
So Stanton to Milsham. She's a good player, Milsham. Second season player. Was the high draft picked in his first year. That's a good kick too. Hocking has some space now. Jetta's the go-to. Yaron's quick though, and there's the kick to Jetta. The shades of Garlett in the first quarter.
Exactly the same. It's just so hard to defend that one coming back.
Gee, that was interesting. But back they go to Collier. So Jetta didn't want to do a Garlett and kick from the pocket, and goes back, and Collier now can have the shot.
See, when 2 players are running back with the flight of the ball, it's always the forward who sees to get it, because he's got his eyes firmly on the footy. The defender's just not sure what he's trying to be protecting.
So Collier had such a big impact against Port Adelaide when he came on as the sub in round 23. Well, that's how O'Halpin kicked from there in the opening term.
In that situation, Lee, when you are the defender, you almost have to preempt where the ball's going to end up. So if you just trail your forward, they'll make the play. You've almost got to initiate and play as if you were the forward.
See what, that singles bar's not looking good at the moment, Dennis. It's very, very hard to kick a goal.
Driven towards the outer side. Warnock's in front, like his game. Ellard drives it long. Walker goes back. Robinson is on. Deeper still is Garlett. Garlett is about 15 metres in front of Hardingham. Not required. Robinson goes in and kicks the goal.
Took it on then, Robinson. Almost got him, Fletcher.
It's been a good turnaround. They trailed by 15 points in the opening term, Carlton. They now lead by that margin. So 5-goal turnaround here, Ryder.
Kick Essendon. Block. Yeah, you jumped into him, blocked him.
Need a big game from Ryder, the Bombers. He kicks the ball to, well, I was going to say contest. It wasn't in the end. Hurley belts it out. Scotland. Tackled by Remus. Well, in the end, high.
Flipped up high. Push out.
Yaron the go-to man with that run and bounce. Good mark, Thornton, his second good mark in this quarter. Murphy, it's opening up for the Blues. Garlett. They're looking dangerous as they're going forward every time now. Garlett had to slow it down. Then he kicks to full forward. Walker. Tapped away by Hardingham. Gibbs. Now Walker, if he gets the bounce. Still with Walker. Back to Judd. Judd flicks it back to Simpson. Now he's a left footer. Back he goes. Murphy can kick a goal. Well, I'm not sure what he was thinking there, Murphy. He was on the back foot. Had he run hard and stabbed it through, but he's missed.
Had to get that forward, mate. Good play by Simpson. He just sold the dummy handball just to release Murphy into space.
Yeah, just lured Murphy's man to the footy, didn't he? Freed him up, but Murphy didn't kick the goal. Fletcher to himself. Long kick almost to the middle. O'Halpin up, knocks it down. Taken by Murphy. Dragged down. O'Halpin only as far as Hill. Ryder slips a hand pass across towards Heppel. Knocked forward by Hill. Getting back is Ellard. Taken down. Henderson under the pump. Slips a hand pass to Yaron. Yaron pops it over the top. Now he can get on his left foot here. And from here it's a question. Well done by Ryder. That almost credited a score there to the Blues. Hand pass comes from Murphy to Walker and he's kicked it behind. Well, Simpson wanted to step too much.
He wanted to get back on his left foot, didn't he? But the pressure was coming from his left side. Just half a step too late with the kick.
Ryder's run down Yaron earlier in the match, hasn't he? So a couple of important stops by him. O'Halpin doing the ruck work, giving Warnock a spell. Not a great kick. Heppel over. Bowled over by Simpson, getting very busy. High ball to full forward. Stanton coming in and behind. Richo?
Yeah, one area of the game at the moment, Carlton have taken 9 marks from the opposition kicks. Essendon have taken none. They haven't been able to chop off any of Carlton's forward thrusts. Part of that's due to Robinson playing that tag on Fletcher. He's normally the man doing that.
Hocking to Myers, who kicks to the outer side. It's going to be a free kick. Remus will get it. 10 of the last 11 one to the Blues, and that's ominous. Remus jabs it forward. Carlisle, defensive side of the wing. Zaharakis, they need more from him. Zaharakis, a little chip towards half forward, made it very difficult for Hurley. Marcus taken by Jamison. Jamison comes back to Dygan.
He's moving all right, Jamison. I saw him, a bit of vision of him last night. He looked like a cripple, but
yeah, he did.
He's got out there and he's playing okay, moving well.
Scotland into the path of Dygan. Dygan close to the boundary line. Hugs that boundary line. Betts. What a beautiful kick. Betts sends it towards the attacking 50 and strength again in the contest. Thornton takes the mark opposed to Stanton.
Already up to their season average of 12 contested marks. Essendon, when they were in the game, were relying on winning the one-on-one contested possession at the moment. They can't afford to lose that particular statistic to the Blues.
No. If you're a Bombers fan, this is getting dangerous now. A goal here. And they really have to find something in quickly. Thornton gives it a ride. It's a beautiful looking kick. How about that one? The veteran puts it through. Alarm bell sounding for Essendon.
It's been good, Thornton. 3 marks in this quarter. First time he's ever scored a goal against the Bombers. It's his 15th game against them, but he's been a defender basically all his life.
He sometimes plays that third tall forward or sometimes in defence. He floats back and forwards.
Kicked 4 goals early in the year against the Suns. Watson can't break the tackle. Gibbs, Ellard, and then did well. Ellard got on his knees and then fetched the football. Kicks the ball to full forward. Carlisle dropped it down, so he's in the defensive bit, and then well done Betts to Thornton to Garland, who's got a hat-trick. And they're 5 goals in front in a hurry.
Yes, and they're doing it the way you normally win games of footy. If you win the contested possession, you can win the tackle count. You usually win on the scoreboard, and Carlton are now dominating both of those, particularly the contested possession, 60-44. They're winning all the footy now.
Well, it's a quick centre clearance again, and I mean, it's not rocket science, but you get the ball deep inside your forward 50, but Carlton are doing that really quickly. They're running the ball and carrying the ball exceptionally well. On that occasion, it was a centre clear, but again, just getting it in deep, and Thornton just drawing himself out the back. Myers was his direct opponent, just got himself ball watching, and Garlett's been up and about from the very start of the game.
The centre square clearances, the penetrating ones, where you can get the kick that goes deep into your forward 50, they really score so often.
Well, the numbers damning at the moment, including 12 of the last 13 scoring shots for the Blues. Thornton's on fire, held too long. They'll get the free kick. I think maybe Matthew McConaughey's gone home. Early night. There goes the kick long down towards full forward. Trying to punch it away. Collier loose at the back. Oh. And had he taken it cleanly, Betts, after it came from the boot of Hardingham, he was goalward bound.
Basic numbers, plays the ball. His contested marks too. Carlton been really good in the air.
Hill's in front, reaching over the top. Warnock. Jump puts the body in. Enjoyed that as he fell on Hocking. Got a hand pass forward. Garlett only as far as Heppel. Gives it across to Monfries. Monfries out of the back pocket. Taken out there though by Joseph. Will it be 50? Joseph had every reason to think he'd marked the footy.
That's good umpiring, I reckon, because it's not deliberate play on, and so often those kind of situations get the 50-metre penalty.
Yeah.
But I think that's good common sense umpiring.
Pushes there, you see the hands, the extension of the arm, and Joseph certainly wouldn't have heard the whistle with the crowd that's building here today.
Seems a long time ago since Collier had that shot on goal. Ryder at the back. Gibbs, that's a good tackle, he's gone. So Monfries plays it on to Zaharakis, and off a step. Now Davey lurking here, trapped it cleverly. Jetta with him. Can they crash and bash here? Now can Jetta get the ball back? Worried out of it by Dygan. Jamison, he is moving well there. Then down the line, that ball's still in. Fletcher toe poked it out. Hill back to Fletcher. And Fletcher out of bounds, a boundary throw in.
Just out. As Carlton won that ball deep inside their defensive forward 50, it was a weight of numbers. It was 4 on 2. They're always going to search the ball forward.
Well, look at that scoreboard. You realise how important it is for the Bombers to get the next goal. Hocking is the third man up.
Had the right idea. Judd's got the footy though. He had to make contact with the footy. Hocking, well done by Davey. Applied some pressure there on Murphy. Murphy gets it back though. Hurried kick. This one goes close to the boundary line. Garlett, Breeze lightning. Garlett slips. Sends a high ball inside the forward 50. Simpson will hang. Oh, what a mark! I was going to say Simpson would hang off the pack and maybe crumb it. Well, didn't get the chance. What a wonderful mark by Monfries. Goes to Hocking, who moments ago jumped third man up, didn't get it cleanly, and as a result, lurking on the ground, Judd was free.
He also sunk a knee right into Hill, I reckon, who didn't necessarily appreciate that.
As he wouldn't. Close to the boundary line from Watson, fisted away by Warnock. Camped in front, escorted back across the line. Collier bounces off the ropes. As they say in the classics, I'd like to see that again.
Tough call, isn't it? Because he's been corralled, and what else can he really do there? He's trying to avoid the tackle, but Hardingham belts the ball over the line. Hardingham's struggling. Tim Watson. Tim.
Well, the Bombers need more from their small forwards. At this stage, Reimers, Davey and also Jett have had 5 touches between them. Yaron's had 13 across half-back, so they're just not getting anything at ground level from those guys.
Well, it doesn't matter now with that deliberate call. The moment has passed, but as the umpire suggesting, you've got to come forward when a bloke's waiting for you.
Makes life hard, doesn't it?
That's right.
Robinson, little kick forward. Gibbs waits for it and gets a hook on it, gets a good hook on it, and kicks a goal.
Gibbs started the game on the bench and came on to play a half-forward role to clean up the loose Essendon defender, which was Heppel, and he's had a real influence. And now he's in the middle of the ground, and Judd actually starting at half-forward and Heppel onto Judd.
Kicked 8 goals since the Bombers kicked the first 3, so completely on top. The ball comes out to Gibbs, kicks to full forward, crash and bash. Carlton first there through Walker, doesn't quite get a handle on it. Lovett, Murray, Stanton, was that in the back? No free kick. Heppel can't quite. Walker slings it out wide. Betts and Judd running onto it. This will bring the house down, but he can't quite get enough on it. And Carlisle in front of O'Halpin. Stanton. So Stanton and Montfrey's playing a lot in the back half at the moment, and they are very much on the back foot here, the Bombers.
Stanton, not his best kick, bounces at the feet of Hill. Warnock has been outstanding. Murphy hand passes inside the forward 50. Cleared by Stanton towards the boundary line. Dygan comes over the top and thumps it away.
Just been a good pick-up, Don. He's so solid there, makes really good decisions. Knows when to spoil, knows when to mark.
Tim Watson will be talking to Bomber Thompson at half-time.
Warnock in front, knocks it down. Murphy again, getting a lot of the footy now. Well played by McVeigh, haven't called his name too often. Over his shoulder, Montfreys, who took that wonderful mark moments ago. Releases Stanton down towards half forward, on the lead Hurley, nothing doing. And the ball ricochets out of bounds. Discipline's a good thing, but just watching the Essendon defenders moments ago, and their midfielders as well, they tracked players inside the forward 50 with a loose ball, and no one went at the footy.
Yeah, no, I noticed that also, Dennis.
Sorry, Tom. It's just when I don't notice much, and when I do, I feel compelled to talk about it. Close to the boundary line, Watson. His kick, and this might find the man it was intended for. Jetta tried to kick it while he was on his back. Spills across to Reamers. Stolen away by Laidler.
Bangs the ball out. Betts attacks it. Stanton, eyes up, decides to go long. Right as the target. Doesn't really get a crack at it. Henderson, Jetta pushes the ball forward. Jamieson, Scotland. Armfield had to stretch. He did it all right. He's got options. Yaron. This will be exciting. 1, 2,
all the way.
3. What comes after 3, Dennis? 4. And now run down. What a fantastic tackle. Howlett. And the Bombers might get a goal out of it. No, Dygan gets it off Watson. Armfield. Dygan in hard. In hard as well was Howlett. Catch our breath for a moment. Nothing happened in the end, but it was exciting all the same.
I think it was by 4, Bruce, that put him off. He heard it and thought he was going to get hit by a golf ball.
We found out what comes after 4, and that's holding the ball.
There's the bounce, Warnock. It was exciting. I was pleased just to be part of it. Collier, his first kick was that miss.
It's interesting whenever a player runs with a footy like that, it is exciting, but no one knows what he's going to do, including his teammates. It's by holding on the player. Once you run, we've got to make sure we maintain possession, because no one can work off you.
Warnock straight down this time to Stanton. High ball down towards full forward. Getting a fist on it there was Hurley. An inadvertent fist. In front of the pack was Ellard. Diving in is Armfield. Wrestling against them is Reamers. And Reamers is not a happy camper as he gets up. Wants to go on with it with Armfield. Meantime, Ryder jostles Henderson. The umpire bounces it down quickly. O'Halpin knocked it down, but it's going against Henderson, who is continuing his battle, I think, with Ryder.
Yes, he forgot that actually Ryder was rucking, and he got the body contact, which is clearly a shepherd in the ruck contest.
Satana got very upset for a moment, thinking it was against him. Don't want Satana upset. It's the WWE, he'd produce a foreign object. Then again, of course, Satana is a foreign object. Here comes the kick from Ryder. They need a goal, and he doesn't provide it.
Just watching their stoppage work inside their forward 50 at the moment. They got the free kick there to Ryder. There's just no energy. There's no movement from the small Essendon forwards.
Set shots in front of the goal at the Ryder screen have been so hard. I mean, we've seen some pocket goals from Garlett and Walker, but looking 4 set shots basically straight in front of Almis. Carazzo runs his measure, kicks the ball long. Bombers have got numbers, but O'Halpin did really well there on Hill. And then quickly up, and the Blues are on here. Betts, Simpson can use the shepherd. Betts decides to kick the ball towards Walker and Thornton. It's running and running. It's a goal. It's Carlton's day.
Carlton have had a great ability to do this all day. They get a one-on-one contest, kick the ball long. What Essendon, I think, need to do is have a deep anchor defender who can either come up, spoil the ball, take the mark, or just get an outnumber deeper, closer to goal.
There is a lack of confidence about some of those Essendon defenders and their attack on the footy. They're just so conscious of their opponents. McVeigh slips a hand pass away. Myers, Heppel, under pressure, Carlisle towards the wing. Leaping over the top of Hill was Simpson. Penalised though, and the ball will come back to Hill. So only 2 behinds in the term for Essendon. And I've got to say, within 30 seconds of each of those behinds, Carlton kicked a goal. Here's Dygan. Jabs it towards the wing. That kick was ill-directed by Hill. Now Simpson's away. Runs beyond the wing. Second bounce. Decides against having a third. Bruce was up for the call, but it goes down inside the 50. Thornton, Ellard. Oh, just misses near side, but it seems the route is on.
It's a one-on-one contest, and you're right, the Essendon defenders at the moment not comfortable.
The ground level ball keeps getting mopped up by Carlton also, isn't it? That's one, they're not getting the ball, and secondly, they're not reacting quick enough to the broken play.
So I think Ryder's eventually the target here. He's got 3 Blues to beat. Worked underneath. Well done, Scotland. Judd couldn't quite keep it in boundary throwing. So quite his first half for Judd. He's done bits and pieces, but Carlton have just...
Well, there's 7 goals in front, and Judd hasn't joined the party just yet, so that's always a great sign when your marquee, your best player, hasn't really been in the game a whole lot, and you're well in front.
Warnock hasn't. He's been terrific. Howlett, quick kick forward. Henderson, early. Henderson stood up, though. Yaron, Carazzo. Back they go to Jamison. Archie's back. It's looked good, Jamison. Carazzo. It's a good moment now for Essendon. Jetta on the end of it. Collier running hard. Left foot. Rolling it. Won't get there, I don't think. Or will it?
Oh, great play, Henderson.
Didn't quite. Henderson got back.
That's showing the bloke in the back of the stand you're desperate, isn't it, when you just charge at it like that?
That's right.
It's like kicking a goal, just saved one.
Yeah. Collier's kick, not so flash, but took a lucky bounce. And Collier wishing that Jetta would stop giving him the footy. Yaron kicks it outside the 50. Lunging at it, Ryder. Swooping on it, Walker. Judd confronted by Melcham. Quick hands, brilliantly done. Joseph feeds it forward. Around the outer side from Ellard to Walker. Walker has 1 bounce. Beckons someone to come. Well, he does eventually, Robinson. He was dropping back and then came to the footy. He's been a handful on the forward line too.
Same situation where the forward can watch the footy. The defender's got eyes for both opponent and football. Forward takes the mark.
Now for Robinson, the angle not quite as acute as those earlier missed shots from this pocket. So there's some hope if he goes far post and hopes the wind grabs it. Well, sort of. Good in theory. Betts, Murphy, Carazzo, Murphy, Gibbs. Oh, a bit stiff there. Thought it was a mark and or the arms were chopped. Could have gone either way. In fact, it was all Carlton regardless. Murphy gets through and kicks a goal. How is that for hard work?
Just there's numbers to the footy. Just look at the Carlton players just pushing after the footy. Made a goal out of a half chance then Murphy, but they thought their way through really well. Their ground level speed and spread is just cutting Essendon up.
Free kick, you're in late, light it gone.
So
stay out, play on.
Blue player in late, and then all the breaks they can get Essendon. And Monfrey's in the front spot now. He's got to go back and kick the goal here. It's been an avalanche. They've kicked the last 10 goals, the Blues, in this match. And they've kicked 6 goals to nothing in this quarter. I feel like nothing can save Essendon right now, but they've just got to get that scoreboard ticking over a little. Ryder missed one about 5 minutes ago. Collier missed a soda earlier in the term. These have been the hard ones to get at this end, at the City end. The set shots out in front. Nobody's been able to actually execute it and get it home. Monfrey's on 50, looking good, holding the line, and gets a belated goal before half-time. So he's got a couple of Monfreys. He's been down the back a bit in this quarter. And that gives him at least something Lee before half-time.
Well, it's a free kick here for an extra play or coming into the centre square late, but gee, when you go deep forward quickly out of the centre square, it's amazing how often the defence gets under pressure. The ball just dropped clear, as we see here. He was a bit lucky, Monfreys. The ball dropped a lot shorter. Poor kick. But he read it earlier than Doggin.
So 49 minutes between goals for the Bombers. Monfries with 2. 72 plays 31. One thing the Bombers have done this season, even against Port Adelaide, has been really fight back. That game seemed lost out of the congestion. Lovett Murray kicks it down towards half forward. Socked forward by Reamers, but Carlton, of course, aren't Port power. Spinning out of trouble. Terrific Scotland. Gives it across to Yaron. Yaron goes to the wing. Awkward bouncing ball. Trying to force a passage there. Thornton did pretty well. Gets the football from Murphy. Slips it across to Judd. Carranzo's away, but it was a throw, I think.
Straight away.
I think the free kick was against the man on the ground, Murphy.
So the Bombers with one last chance for a second goal in this quarter. Davey at the back, well played Laidler. Scotland, Yaron, now Jetta, can he get it out? Monfries, can't quite, great smother. Essendon fighting hard for this goal before half-time and a ball up.
Ball spin.
He's a strong man, Hurley. So here's the free kick.
Players are so quick with their hands these days, it's even hard on replay to know whether it's a throw or handball.
Dying seconds, Carlton hanging on, and Essendon unable to get a kick away. What a quarter for the Blues. They've got a big lead at half-time now. Judd quietish, he hasn't had any big moments. A shot on goal early, hit the post, that would have been one, but the team around him have done a great job. They gave up the first 3 goals of the match, kicked the last, then kicked 10 straight. And the last goal to Monfries. Fletcher at 36 years of age in his 23rd final, but Essendon was so much to do. They lost pairs at the end of the first quarter. Collier came on as the sub. Half-time here in the first elimination final before 90,000 people. Carlton lead by 41 points. It's 10-12-72 to Essendon 4-7-31. Seven to 1-3. That second quarter really opened up for Carlton. Remember, the Bombers got the first 3 goals. They were 3-0 at 0-5 at one stage. Garlett 3, Monfries at 2. Lots of the ball for Murphy, including a great goal. And Yaron has really built into the game after a nervy start. 15 disposals and a fair bit of running bounce as well. So 72 to 31 lead at halftime. We're going to go down and join Tim Watson, Lee, who's got Bomber Thompson.
Well, Bomber, it's real trouble here. Where do you start to patch it up?
I think we just got to rebuild their confidence and get the boys playing. They were clearly outbeaten, and you know, Carlton's surge was just incredible, and we've just got to get back in the game by start winning the ball.
How do you do that, though? How do you build their confidence at half-time after they've been smashed like that in the first half?
I reckon they sort of just, their self-talk's probably not great. I reckon you just notice they lost their confidence, so we just got to get in there and just try and talk to them and just encourage them just to play.
Defensively, you've been going one-on-one with them down back. Is there any thought about putting some extra numbers back there?
It hasn't really worked for us, Tim. We want our defenders to beat their opponents, and it's probably more the way the ball's coming in has put us under enormous pressure, so we'll probably keep going that way.
You like to get Fletcher off his man to play that free player up, but Robertson's doing a really good job on him. Is there any thought that you can do anything else with him?
I reckon just Dustin could dictate where he wants to stand and how he could actually position himself a bit better and really be a pest, but be third man up, and you know, if he's been tagged, just go where you want to go. That's what I'm going to tell him.
And their spread's been devastating, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
That would have worried you coming into this game though too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're a good side, and we've just got to play a lot better. We're capable of playing better though.
Good luck.
Okay.
Pretty calm. He actually captained a team that was 42 points down at half time and got over the Crows, didn't he, Bomber, with Tim as well. So they're a long way back, though. Let's have a look at the stats, Lee.
Well, basically, the stats tell us that the contested possessions there, Carlton well on top there. They're tackling well, so they're winning the tackle counts. If you win those two, you win 80% of your games. In the inside 50s there, they've got in 34 times. The last 4 kick-ins for Essendon, they've gone coast to coast, Carlton, and kicked goals on the rebound. So 22 scoring shots from 34 entries. They've been dominant.
Here's some contested footy, Lee.
Well, that's where the starting point is of the game. And to get the contested footy, you've got to get in first. You've got to be first to the footy and then obviously work your way clear from there. But it's a combination of being the desperation to win the contested footy and the work rate to lay the tackles. And just Carlton are doing both of those aspects of the game just that little bit better, which has earned them a really nice lead.
And once they get the spread, once they get the ball out of the contest, they are so dangerous. Yeah. O'Halpin's had an interesting first half, hasn't he?
Well, he's given them a target deep. He's such a lively player. He has his days where it doesn't work, but he's a good contester in the air. Obviously, when you're playing him second ruck, that mark started a goal scoring surge. He missed that first goal, and this one was interesting. He just didn't want the pressure of the set shot. He wanted to make a certainty get the pressure off and kick the goal, but he did kick the goal and got Carlton running. He's always a good, vibrant, energetic player, and he's doing that today.
Any of the Lee Brown about him? I mean, the role that Lee Brown plays for Collingwood with O'Halpin?
Yeah, a lot about that. Yeah, the second ruckman, not a big second ruckman, but can do the job in there. But when you've got a second ruckman who can move with that agility, well, it makes your whole side just that little bit quicker.
You were a bit critical of the way they were bringing the ball in from the kickouts at one stage, but they, in the end, were able to get the transition happening, weren't they?
Well, the first couple, they went straight down the middle, but then after a while, they then were... Trouble is going down the middle. If you can get it through, great, but geez, if you don't get it through, it bounces back. But just as the game went on, then this is really the one where Yaron said, OK, I got the space out right. He saw it happen, and as soon as you're outside the zone, then it's just a question, can you maintain possession as your forwards are running back to space? We saw this happen here, and even though Walker got drawn to that forward pocket situation there, those coast-to-coast goals, 4 of them they kicked, that's a massive number.
Those goals from Walker and Garlett in the pocket were pretty handy at the time, weren't they? Because they were on the back foot. Let's go down to ground level, Lee. Luke Hodges down there with Tom Harley. Tom.
Thanks very much, Bruce. I'll tell you what, Hodgie, it is absolutely freezing down here. We're up in the luxury of the box, but got to have a look at the way Carlton are bringing the ball forward. They've obviously got great leg speed in the way they can get it forward with their smaller lights and Garlett and obviously Betts and even Walker. Well, look at this one here. Pushing the half forwards right up. Walker's pushing up at this stage, and it's Robinson who's playing on Fletcher who gets out the back. Now, we're having a discussion off air, Luke, about the best way to defend that. Perhaps a loose man or an anchor defender for the Bombers.
Yeah, you're right. I think teams these days squeeze up so much into their forward 50 so the ball can't come out. So a prime thing, as you said, Robinson is tagging Fletcher. It's probably a good thing for him to sit Fletcher maybe 20, 30 metres off the back of their last forward, just so it's got a bit of safety if the ball does come out of there fast.
So a lot of sides actually have that spare player up in front of the half forward. Do you think definitely behind?
Especially with the speed of the Carlton forwards. They push up and they work hard very quickly back. So Fletcher's just going to be a safety sitting back there in case they do get goal side of them.
Well, we heard Mark Thompson say that, so we'll go down to Richo and see what they're doing in the Carlton rooms.
Well, as you would expect down here in the Carlton rooms, it's all very positive. As the players were coming back in, as you can see behind me now, they're talking to the assistant coaches. When they came back into the rooms, there was a lot of talk about just keeping the foot to the floor and keeping this ascendancy. I think they know they've got a real advantage with their run and spread and carry. Betts and Gartlett up forward, Walker, they've all contributed. The midfield's on top, and this is all without a real contribution from Judd. So it's all very positive down here. But as I said, there's a lot of talk about keeping the foot to the floor and really ramming home this advantage in the third quarter.
Yeah, everybody feeling good about themselves at Carlton. Post-match today, Lee, Mick Malthouse will join Luke Hodge. So got an enormous post-match after the game. So Carlton with the big lead. Judd and Hocking, a really interesting match-up. Have you seen the first half?
Well, it's been a fairly even match-up. I mean, Chris Judd hasn't been able to get into space at this point of time. I mean, there's still a half a footy to go. And as the game opens up, as they do in second halves, it's going to be harder for Hocking to maintain the contact if Carlton continue to win the footy. But certainly at the moment, you'd say Hocking has done a good job to prevent Judd well, playing anywhere near the level we know he's capable of.
He's found it hard to get space so far, Joe, but as you say, the second half, there's a good chance that it will open up.
Yeah.
He's still done his bits. They're both on about 8 disposals. Judd had a slightly better second
he's
quarter.
got the body strength. I think most people are saying that in and around the stoppages, you want a big body against Judd so that he can't just push you out of the road and then go to his clear running. So, yeah, Hocking's done a good job to this point.
And they'll go with Hocking. Of course, the other thing, the Essendon have used their sub earlier, no pair, so there's no wriggle room there.
That's right. There's no one to come on to give you a little bit of extra legs and energy late in the game as normally happens without an injury.
So that's the situation here. Just briefly about Friday night. Not a matchup I think we expected a few weeks ago. Hawthorn and also Sydney. You've seen both teams on the weekend.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Sydney, as they always do, they've got a bit of speed about them, but they've always played better at Etihad Stadium than they have at the MCG. So they've got to travel again. Hawthorn probably without Franklin, so that's obviously a major out. But the Swans are always hard to beat. But so often, the side that loses out of the top 4 goes on and wins the second week, don't they? They're better sides for the season.
So that's on Friday night. Here it's a 41-point margin, but we are looking forward to Friday night as well. Judd's Blues lead 72-31.
With the sniff of blood in the nostrils of the Blood Brothers keep coming.
Franklin being asked to do it all. And there's the story. Franklin is down. He's hurt that right knee.
Does it get sweeter than that?
Sunny day, but very chilly at the MCG. Players back after half-time, and Essendon's rollercoaster ride this season is teetering on the brink right now. The margin is 41 points. They trail Carlton. Carlton have been very good. After they sprayed it early, Carlton got on target, and now the Bombers really are off the pace. Just a reminder too, Coles Schools for Sport program is currently in full swing. You can register your school and get your badges at Coles, okay? Visit their website, coles.com.au/sports for schools. Chris Yarran. Well, I suppose he's been the focal point of so much of the run out of defence as far as Carlton were concerned. Good and bad. He's had his moments, a few bounces, a few things a little wayward, but he's had 16 possessions to the major break. By contrast, David Zaharakis, I was looking at his figures coming into today's game, 26, 27 and 27 possessions in the last 3 games, only 8 to half-time. Tim might have some news on Essendon's injury problems. Tim?
Well, Tate Pear's wretched run with injuries has continued. Earlier I diagnosed it as having that crack in his foot. It opened up again. In fact, that's not the case. He's just done a good old-fashioned hamstring, so his day is well and truly done.
Good on you, Tim. That's bad news. He's had a terrible run, Tate Pears, and I know they really value him down there. Centre-half back, a key defender, brings a bit of height, so Collier's come into this side, and Collier didn't really have an impact. As we take a look at these players now on the mega wall.
Warnock's height's been a as the game's gone on. I mean, he's out reaching the Essendon ruckman. Murphy's been fantastic, had a fantastic year. Judd's been out of it a little bit in this first half, but he's been exceptionally good.
Just starved of opportunities going forward. Michael Hurley only the 26 inside 50 for the Bombers, and just to see what they're going to do with Mark Thompson, see whether he can orchestrate himself as that loose man, that free man to stop the run from the small Carlton forwards.
Well, Have the Bombers got a yelp left? We're about to find out. 72 plays 31. Warnock is there opposed to Ryder this time. Warnock has been the dominant ruckman on the ground. Ryder goes and finds the football well done to Heppel. Heppel kicks down towards half forward. Collier leads in the race. Bit of a fumble though, and the ball goes out of bounds. He wasn't going very far, I don't think, because Armfield was in his hip pocket.
Heppel pushing up onto Walker. Across half back for the Bombers.
Ryder very conscious of Warnock, then grabbed him.
Holding Carlton. Hold the arms. Because you work and Walker on Heppel, you'd be heading for the goal square, heading deep and making Heppel really defend if it's actually a match-up.
It's a lovely kick for a big man. This one finds its way under the chest of Myers, who showed good strength, got rid of Thornton. Myers feeds it back to the defensive 50. Hardingham, possessionless in the opening term. Goes back to Stanton across the ground. Some danger here. O'Halpin ghosting in, knocks the ball to his own advantage, pulls it back. Murphy set a task here. It runs free behind, putting the body in Robinson. Fletcher took him down. Jarred out of there. Stanton under pressure. Heads for the boundary line. Needs some luck. Well, it stayed in. First part of the equation. Slung out of there by Lovett Murray. Opportunity for McVeigh. And again, it breaks down for Essendon, but they were under severe pressure.
Dodged the bullet, didn't they? So Carlton inside their 50. Stanton didn't get far, and then Gibbs, that's a good kick actually. He was under pressure, got the ball back into now a very dangerous spot. Hardingham, that's only his second disposal for the match, and they've both come in the last couple of minutes, and they've both been handballs. Fletcher puts Zaharakis under the pump. Hardingham, Judd in hard with Zaharakis and Simpson.
Mentioned Kyle Hardingham before the game, playing with like a player bereft of confidence just moments ago. Didn't attack the ball, was too conscious of where his opponent was. Got his hands on the ball again and fumbled.
Bombers dropped hooker for today. They might have needed another tool down there. Right now, Carazzo, well done. Just slipped the tackle, kicks the ball across the face. Thornton's been good in the air and takes another good mark.
He's been strong there. The Essendon defence has just really looked shaky, hasn't it? You'd hope that Fletcher be able to organise it, but Robinson's keeping his mind occupied. And again, just an absolute contested mark 20 metres out. He's been strong down there, Thornton.
Well, Pears is probably the key defender, and I mean, hamstring in the first quarter. As we said, they went without hooker today. And Thornton's taken 4 really good marks. Kicked a goal. He's rejuvenated himself, hasn't he? As a sort of a swing man, more a defensive forward, is usually a good kick. And Carlton get the first after half-time.
Here's another contested mark from Brett Thornton. He's had a really, really good day, but there were a lot of numbers inside the 50 there, as Lee said before. Essendon have had no third man in assistance all day. In that situation there, someone had to come off their man and help out, third man in.
Warnock knocks it forward. Lovett Murray goes back to Hocking. Hocking, driving kick inside the forward 50. Hill was up early. Jeter a half chance at the back. Spills to Stanton, needs a good snap. He provides it, puts it through. That's better.
It's the value of the centre clearance again. That's their best bet.
In the this is the 4th final for this weekend, but the clear centre square clearance, where all of a sudden the player can actually have a bit of time and space, and this time it's Hocking to kick it deep. Just imagine how often there's been a goal scored from that quick entry. This time it was Stanton. I think it's the one part of the game where the defence hasn't really got to get a chance to be set. The forwards are really determined in positioning.
TD, Terry Danaher, dual premiership captain of the Bombers in 84-85. Stanton, 16 disposals. That's a game high for the Bombers. Not a lot's happened when he's had the ball except for then. So just a little bit of heart for Essendon.
Got his arm down.
Warnock's becoming a big figure in this match, isn't he? A good first half and a bright start here. And again, as Dennis said, what a good kick he is for a giant. So he kicks the ball in. O'Halpin almost. Walker, O'Halpin on the left. He's had 5 shots on goal. He has been lively. He's a bash crasher, isn't he?
Well, and the second effort at ground level, not only can he actually jump at the ball in the air, got good height, but he actually recovers quickly. rarely goes to ground after with his marking contest. He usually lands on his feet.
Can be dangerous for his teammates as well, as we found out last year, didn't we?
Yes. I reckon when Forrest Gump spoke about that box of chocolates, he was actually thinking of Satanovo Halpin. You're never quite sure what you're going to get. Ball comes outside the 50. Up goes Hill, takes the mark. Plays on immediately, the Giant. Drives towards the wing. Tailor-made for the man at the back, really. Armfield soccers it, but directly across to an Essendon player, Melksham. He went to ground, wrestled away from him by Ellard. Ball up.
It's interesting, players who fall on the footy, they know they've got to get up. So you see players actually just trying to regain their feet, so at least they're standing up.
Beautifully done. How is that? Got it down to Carrazzo, who flicked it across to Judd after wonderful work by Warnock. It's now just outside the defensive 50 for the Bombers, and Warnock launches himself. This is the making of that young man. Hand passes across to Scotland. Judd goes back, no mark. Falls to Stanton. Judd, wonderful courage, backing into the pack. Out wide, Monfries wants to go, gives it across towards his teammate Davey. Davey kicks beyond the wing. Could have almost been hanging on to Reimers. No free kick. Well done by Yaron. Reimers goes again. Falling down Murphy. He was tackled by Hocking. Third man was Henderson. Fourth man was Davey. Ball up.
Speaking of Warnock, certainly playing a great game. This happens time and time again when a ruckman gets the sole responsibility to be the #1 man, and he's taking it with both hands.
Played for West Perth in the WAFL and was actually, for most of his time there, a second stringer to Mark Seaby.
You see, it happens so often. Cruiser obviously not playing. Seen it up in Sydney with Mumford. Just time and time again, the players, when they get that one chance to have the mantle, often take it.
Wide of the pack, slipped away by Monfries. Watson into Mines. Howlett. Now McVeigh. McVeigh, penetrating kick inside the forward 50. Jamison did brilliantly. That was the timing there. Exquisite as he knocked it down. Collier coughed it up. Murphy gives it to Yaron. Yaron kicks to the wing. Look out from behind. Thornton launched himself, couldn't complete the mark. Myers comes away, goes back to the voice. Hardingham provided it. Good kick too, finds Collier.
Collier onto the left. Hurley a target. Force forward. Jamison's played very well.
It's been good.
Divey just took his time, Murphy. Controlled it beautifully to Joseph. And then the Blues are on now. Gets the ball to centre wing. Off a step, Ellard. O'Halpin and Carlisle. O'Halpin protected it. Garlett's on his bike, and it's a fast bike. Gets it to Simpson.
If you're a small forward watching at home, a young fella, just have a look at this play by Jeff Garlett. Worked so hard to get the front and square, got to the right point at the right time, and then the unselfish play to bring it back in.
Can you go and find a bottle of his speed?
Yeah, but that might be
quick,
another
isn't
one.
he? Jeez, he can travel.
Just got to the right spot there, on the move, and then you see awareness to swing it round on the left. Outstanding play.
So Simpson with that long streak. He hasn't missed a game since round 15, 2005. Looking good, holding the line. Carlton get their 12th.
We've seen a lot of forward play. I don't think we've seen one where the forward's leading at the kicker.
Yeah.
Almost inevitably, the forward is leading away from the kicker, and the defender is trying to defend that kind of over-the-top ball. It's sort of really 2011 footy, isn't it?
Yep.
Saw Joe Watson there involved with Andrew Carrazzo. We've got to change gates beyond the boundary. And I think Joe, the skipper, knows it's almost gone. Ball up again. A lot of stoppages, and Carlton have done better at them in Maine because of Warnock. Ryder this time wins it though. Comes back to Warnock. Had it momentarily. Lost it. Throw there from Robert Murray. Scotland whips it across towards Murphy. Murphy kicks inside the forward 50. The Judster, the aerialist, goes after the football. Hand passes away to Robinson. He's in trouble. Here's Garlett again. McVeigh's having palpitations. There goes the kick towards full forward, off hands and across the line.
If Garlett gets the ball and you haven't got your hand on him, he's gone.
Yeah.
You've got no chance of chasing him down.
And he's very good in doing something with the footy. I mean, that was a dangerous kick again. And you compare him to Alwyn Davey. Now, Davey's very quick, but Davey just doesn't have the box of tricks that Garlett brings to the party.
Davey's in the right spot here, Dennis. So You've organised it again.
Amazing.
To Lovett Murray, to Stanton, to Hurley. So, switches it up. And Zaharakis had a quiet one. And that's a poor kick. A bit crude by Stanton, but Dygan's a tough guy. He wasn't eligible for the Rising Star, Dygan. He's 27, but he would have been in the top half dozen, you reckon?
Yep.
At the back was Robinson, front spot Thornton, Fletcher doesn't do that too often. Was he out before he kicked it? I think, no, he wasn't.
On that point about Dygan, I'd like to see that to be a genuine Rookie of the Year, first-year player.
Yes.
Good idea. Thornton's long ball in. Well, nobody went for it again, Essendon, and now Betts gets on the end. Oh, it's like a big birthday party, isn't it?
In big finals, you just need to be hard to play against there. Cole Hardingham wouldn't want to have another look at that one. Just caught himself in two minds, just had to launch at the ball, but did neither. And gimme.
So Eddie Betts, 47 goals for the season. Starting the day, 27 in 14 games against the Bombers, of course, including 8 7 weeks ago. He was goalless last week, but get the feeling he might finish with a few this afternoon. Watson goes off the ground, Donnewood's half forward, holding, and it's going to be a free kick to be taken by Stanton. Melcham getting up very slowly. He's not well. Stanton, meantime, is lining up from directly in front. Kicks from 55. It's a strong kick too. Hasn't got the carry. There's not much help down there for the man on the line. Henderson. Oh, that's just very lax by Carlton. 2 goals to Stanton, both in this term.
Yes, you always think they're preventable, those goal line. I guess they'll help it as the ruckman at the time. Hill's in that part of the ground. We see Murphy in the middle in that part of the ground, but the long kick in here, we see it here. It just became a wrestle on the ball. Normally there should be a third man in that part of the ground. That might have got over the hedge anyway, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it was our Halpin. It was just at the top of the goal square there. Needed to do the basics and get there on the line.
So Mick Malthouse and Luke Hodge to join us for the post-match. Stanton, 19 disposals, 2 goals. So
work rate's certainly been there. 11 of those 19 disposals contested.
So Watson trying to get the ball out of the centre. Tackled by Carato. We saw them tackling one another off the field a moment ago, didn't we? Don't see that too often when they go to the interchange bench.
Not that close to the bench.
So Essendon with a couple of third-quarter goals, both to Stanton, but Carlton certainly well and truly in control. Murphy has been magnificent. To Simpson, straightens it up, Simpson, and Robinson's acceleration, again a factor.
Carlton forwards just totally dictating the starting points of the Essendon players at the moment. It might be a centre clearance, can get 6 on 6 or 5 on 5 or whatever it is, but can spread exactly what they want. You see it here, they're all one-on-one pairs everywhere.
We mentioned up, they've got now 41 inside 50s for 27 scoring. So it's normally 1 out of 2 is really good.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're getting well above that.
They've had bigger stars than Robinson today, but I don't know if there's been a more important player forward to centre because of the job he's done on Fletcher. He's already kicked 1 goal. That one's not going to get there, and it's a behind, but Fletcher normally can close on somebody.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to close on Robinson. He hasn't been able to read the ball as well as Robinson today. He's been a big winner.
Myers to himself, and then he drives it outside the defensive 50. Hocking coming back with the flight of it. Murphy threads it beautifully. Gives it to Judd, who turns around and kicks a goal.
This is a funny screw kick, wasn't it? Have a look at this.
Yeah, it was a quick kick that went off the boot very nicely, but not planned necessarily that way.
It's only his 3rd final at the MCG. The other 2, of course, the memorable grand finals against the Swans. He won a Norm Smith in a losing grand final. Walker attacked it hard. Oh, that's a great give. And Garland, who's kicked 3, has still kicked 3.
Well, he should have kicked it anyway, but he kicked it from 25 when he should have kicked it from about 15. I mean, you've got to run to as close to goal as you can. When you think with his speed, he's not going to get picked up from behind.
And McVeigh looks really tight in the groins. Well, Judd makes a contest.
Slips it away to Garland. Goes to Gibbs, who turns round and kicks another. Oh, this is humiliating now for a proud football club.
Gibbs with a couple. Essendon have only played 2 finals since 04. They got beat by 96 points in their other final.
Yeah, the Crows game a couple of years ago.
At the moment, they're 10 goals behind. Warnock has been a towering figure in more ways than one. No one as good as Murphy, though. Hill grits his teeth, and with a long ball in, it's a behind. So what can you salvage from a wreck like this? That's what Essendon face right now.
They've been totally dictated to everywhere, all over the ground, through the middle of the ground, particularly down back. The Carlton forwards dominating there, so just put your head in the hole and play hard.
Well, here's their best player.
Yeah, no doubt.
20th disposal coming up for Stanton. Not a great kick off for Step, and Jamison just protected Laidler, who takes the mark. Out wide, Thornton's been good. Lovett Murray short.
Finds Watson, 55 metres out. By his standards, pretty quiet. Goes looking for Ryder. Difficult one to take. It was coming in very quickly. Hurley did very nicely. Shrugged off a would-be tackler. Gave it to Zaharakis on his knees. Melksham. More pain for him. Well done, Yaron. Gibbs. Laidler hugs the boundary with a kick. Thornton trying to work in front. He brings the grimaces, does Thornton. He's got the full repertoire, and the ball bounced out of bounds. Very expressive player. Dustin Fletcher. Seen a lot of finals football. Murphy dragged down. Howard hasn't seen a lot of it to Collier. 55 metres out. Centering kick. You wouldn't like to have backed Jetta there. It was outnumbered 3-on-1. Opportunity for Yaron in the back. No, play goes on. Opportunity for Watson. Brilliant. Collier kicks a goal. Well done, Joe.
It's a good effort by Watson, isn't it? I mean, he's in heavy traffic. Great handball. Collier on the end. This is all they can do, Essendon, is get that scoreboard happening, can't they?
Yeah.
They've got to try and get the clearances. And it's a simple thing, but at least score some goals here. And Judd got a good handball and then kicks the ball to half forward. Myers and Thornton. Thornton's been a big winner today. Myers off a step, banging the ball forward. Joseph running hard with Stanton and Armfield. Armfield got a nice bounce, and that's good play by Armfield. Under pressure, found Simpson. Now he's got some long bombs on. Harding is at the back. He should be third man up, but he takes a beauty. He's had an awful day, but that helps. Oh, no, it doesn't. That was 50 metres. That's interesting, isn't it? He was off, wasn't he?
Here's a good look at this. Here's a good jump. Look at him. Foot on the flat of the foot on his shoulder.
He finally attacked the ball in the air.
You've got to come out of the protected area.
Okay, there's the explanation, but a fortuitous 50, but it was a great mark and deserved a good result. Henderson was the flyer. Armfield running hard. And then Fletcher cuts it off. We've seen so little of that today. And a boundary throw in.
Speaking of Fletcher cutting the ball off, how important has Jamison been? Lee, we'll just see the 50
Look at the 50 here. Go on.
It's hard to see that.
Sometimes the umpire's got to call play on quicker.
And the man on the mark in that case moves at a blur.
Yeah.
Can't factor in that sort of speed. Howlett taken down by Warnock. Great second effort by the big guy.
It's interesting, that rule, isn't it? The umpires say you can't encroach on the area until he's called play on. But really, they've played on before he calls play on, basically. The timing's all out.
That's right. He's just having one of those senior moments, the umpire. You could be there all day, couldn't you? And he's gone and down in the opposite goal square.
But how important is Jamison to Carlton?
Oh, really important. I mean, I think Henderson's doing a good job as that other big defender, but he's looked since he was injured a couple of months ago, so that's for the future.
Warnock decisively. Judd missed it. Not so there with Murphy, though. Gave it to Simpson around the outer side. Look at Murphy. He was involved moments ago at the stoppage. He's up contesting the next ball. Heppel across towards a teammate there in Howlett, but he misses Hill. All the H's. And the ball goes out of bounds. One more help is applicable.
As he'd out seeing Warnock completely dominating in the air. Halpin's and 11 hit-outs to advantage. They're the ones that really count.
Hill wins it this time. Murphy again.
Having just another stellar day, Murphy. Thornton, now Fletcher. Robinson are with him. Myers caught up. Good tackle by Garlett. Again, that quickness the problem, and then Garlett drills it to Scotland.
Garlett's field kicking is outstanding. A couple of his shots from goal from the pocket, he's drilled them to keep it low out of the wind. But you look at this one here, just got the ball 60 out and dropped it straight into, here's the pressure here, and he provides that great pressure, but the kick into Scotland is just really impressive. Bain, 2 steps, no chance.
He's the only 30-plus player out there for the Blues today at 31. Played in a couple of grand finals against Lethal's Lions when he was a Collingwood player in 02 and 03, and that's near side. But I don't think he's had a better season this year.
Very good, very good.
He has been so consistent.
He plays sort of bit of half forward, bit of wing, bit of half-back flank. He has had a lot of variety to the positions he can play.
Fletcher to himself. Then comes away, kicks outside the defensive 50. Carlton gave away a free kick. Hill will get the free. Interesting now, Murphy's up to 26 possessions. In his last game had 36. 4th time in his career he's had 36. Ball comes across towards Watson, and that 36 one shy of his career high. Zaharakis got it from Collier. Love it, Murray. Terrific by Scotland, gave a wonderful contest. Hurley finds a way through. Henderson will find this ball just to his liking.
Tougher mark than that actually looks that one, the ball swirling up when you're sitting under it by yourself.
A lot of time to think too, Tommy, as the ball comes outside the defensive 50 and Howler.
Kicked his boot off, Dennis. He's going without the boot.
What a boot experience. He goes in short and the mark is taken by Scotland at centre-half back.
Just needed that bit of extra purchase with the boot on.
That boot is out there somewhere, Tom. So, Scotland told to play on, drives it towards the outer side. Held without it. Surely Garlett, no free kick, came again. Hardingham to Heppel.
Heppel with a little dinky one into the centre. McVeigh, Lovett Murray to Ryder. They've got a bit of a wall up here, Carlton. Ryder out wide, wanting Melsham. Made a contest and took a mark. That was well played. Got the fist and then got the mark on the way down. Short, Zaharakis.
He was off.
He was off to full forward. Hill with strength kicks a goal.
Okay.
That's not bad. That is Dancing with the Stars stuff.
So obviously that boot was worrying him. Nonchalantly just flicked it away. 107 to 56. Well done, Ryder. Got it down to Hocking. Hocking goes short to half forward. No Warnock in there, and that was the difference. Hurley will go from about 55. Gives it a ride. It's out to the right and goes through for a minor score. So the margin 50 points, but it feels like a heck of a lot more now. James Hird. The Bombers haven't won a final since the elimination final of 2004. And Brett Ratton in his 3rd final looking at his first win. Here's Scotland. Goes very short. Finds Henderson. It's a massive weekend of footy. Week 1 of the finals, isn't it? So much for Wall. If you want to come along and or watch it on television, I would think at a state the only fresh air some blokes get is opening the door for the pizza man. It's grabbed out there by Myers. He kicks it down towards the pocket. Going back is Henderson. Got into his move. Melksham did nicely. Melksham looks towards the middle. Picked off though by Scotland.
He should have handled it early then, Melsham. He had him shorter and loose. That's not the only mistake the Bombers have made today, obviously. Hurley with 3 behinds. Just hasn't had a chance to impose himself. So Heppel and Simpson. Just thinking of Jamison, Tom, and Lee. It's a free kick.
I think when Murphy was bowled over off the footy.
Remus has been doing this for the last 2 or 3 minutes. It's absolutely pointless.
Very where the footy is.
Worry about winning the ball. You watch them there.
Yeah. So top of the frame, so he's got a short fuse, Kyle, and we know that. I'll get back to Jamison later. So Murphy getting closer to those 30. He's been arguably best man on the ground.
Your kick. You're the closest player to downfield.
So downfield, so Carrazzo to take the kick.
Speaking about Jamison, it's probably about now when you look at the sub also.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Would you protect him slightly now with Davies to come on for next week?
Well, that's exactly what they might be thinking about any time. You're right there, Bruce.
No! He's done a lot of things on this ground. I'm not sure if he's ever been that high. What a mark. Kicks to full forward. Betts, yes! Oh, this is the best party the Blues have ever been.
Betts marked against Harningham. Now, you're not going to see that often. Harningham, we know, jumped very good overhead. That was not a jumping mark. That was just a judgment mark, not the Judd one. That was a jumping mark. But just Betts' ability just to read the ball in the air.
Hodgie said at half-time, he said, how many's Judd had? I said 8. He said, he'll get 25, but I don't think he counted, but this has been one of them. He's up to 15, so he's on the way. Betts has kicked 2. Betts has kicked 3. And the small forwards and their captain are having the best at the G imaginable now.
Well, I reckon Juddy's previous best mark was at the MCG Collingwood. He'll take that one this time, but here, Hocking probably didn't think that he was going to go, so he stayed down for the front and square, but Juddy said, I'll have a crack at this.
Someone told me he was a ground level player. That's what he was thinking.
And then you see the facial expressions there, and Heath Hocking says it all. Just watch him here.
Just floated up. Yeah, that point about Jamison, and there's Rebecca Judd. Whether one, he hasn't had much footy, but secondly, if he hasn't had much footy, if you can give him a shortish game, it's probably helpful at this stage of the year. You're not going to get him fit overnight in one
trip
game.
to Perth also.
And Dad looking pretty happy there too. Andy from Sandy, out of the middle. Lovett Murray low down. The mark is taken by Stanton. He's tried valiantly, Stanton. Kicks down towards the pocket. In front, Laidler. Well, back-to-back 3 outstanding marks for the Blues. Started by Judd, followed by Betts, and then he got the goal, and now Laidler, the one-hander.
Just really like the balance of the Carlton backs. Jamison provides so much, but Laidler, Dygan, Yaron's getting the run. Josie's spending some time back there, and obviously Henderson's the other one.
I reckon Laidler's spent a lot of time at Geelong watching you mark third up, Tom, and he says, I'll have a crack at this.
Yaron goes short.
Take it, Tom. Lee doesn't give compliments to
I didn't know what to say, Bruce.
Well, Tom was doing that in the premiership years, and Laidler's having a crack at it today.
I think that's a step too far. Lee Juddy is feeling it at the moment. Up very high, gets a hand pass to Walker. How slick was that across to Gibbs? Gibbs kicks a wonderful goal. You won't see better than that. Gibbs gets his third, and that hand pass was like lightning.
They're fantastic quick hands there, and a beautiful finish from Bryce Gibbs. Down here on the bench, the paperwork is being done. I'd say that it's not far away from a sub with Jamison. Davies will come on. He has had a chat to the doctor and Ratton. I reckon they're going to put him away for next week.
Just thinking of Judd's third quarter. Remember in Sydney last year in the Elimination final?
Yeah, didn't quite get home, but that was one memorable quarter of footy, wasn't it, the third there?
So Jamison, you'd reckon they might put him in cotton wool. He's done a great job today, and they'll need everything they've got down back next week in Perth. That'll be the key to the match in many ways. That Carlton defence going to hang up. Lovett Murray to Ryder to Zaharakis. Jet has just had trouble getting the footy today. He's been in a few contests. Armfield wants the boundary line. Stanton wants a free kick, and he doesn't.
And we might ask Mick Maldas after the game, Bruce, how they'll dominate the ruckwork probably the Eagles, but how do you dominate them in the clearances, as Collingwood did yesterday? That'll be Carlton's challenge next week.
If you turn around right now, Lee, Mick's right behind us talking to Hodgie about all those things. So Murphy twisting and turning to Walker, to Murphy, backtrack cleverly. How many's he had, Dennis Murphy? Now Carrazzo.
29, Bruce.
Carrazzo with a long ball. Thornton's been very, very good. I don't reckon I've seen him play a better game than this.
That's, I think, his 5th or 6th contested mark, which would probably be an all-time high for him, I would have thought.
Sends it down towards half forward. It's going to be a free kick in front. They'll get a Harding hand.
The previous best was 4, Lee.
Yep.
Johnny's just taking off. Every pack he sees now, he just flies into it. He's like Greg Louganis. On the outer side, long kick towards half forward. Off the fist. It runs free. It was a Carlton defender that got the fist to it. It came to Laidler. Diagon hard against the line. Kept it in, but really didn't accomplish very much. Melcham onto the chest of Hocking. Hocking wants to go. Puts himself under pressure. Kick will fall in short. Stanton won't get there. Henderson claims the mark and it's paid. So Essendon still have a quarter and 5 seconds to put up with this. They're going nowhere, and they know it. What a quarter from the Blues. Even better than anything that came before. 62 points the margin. It was 41 at halftime. Chris Judd certainly finding some form there, and that's a good sign because a couple of weeks back, 3 weeks back, I think to be precise, on Friday Night Football, he struggled against Jordan Lewis, and last week wasn't that flash against St Kilda, but suddenly in a quarter, he may have turned his form slump on its head. Carlton 17-17. Essendon 8-6.
Three-quarter time in the first elimination final. The Blues conceded the first 3 goals of the match and then went on to kick the next 10. They were irresistible in that quarter, particularly Judd. Murphy's had a fantastic game. 62 points. Let's go down to Tim Watson, who's got Simon Goodwin.
Well, Simon, I saw James Hird grab hold of the midfielders there at three-quarter time. What was his message?
I guess we really just want to be strong in the contest. We've probably been beaten in contested ball all day, so it's just about making sure we show a bit of pride in this last quarter and really play the game out.
Is that what you're hoping to see from the team?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's never nice to be in this situation, but we've had a good year and we just want to make sure we play the year out.
The Blues have been devastating, haven't they?
They have. They've been fantastic around the contest and their speed on the outside, and they've certainly used the ball a lot better going forward.
Cheers.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, the Carlton forward line's been outstanding today. They've had 10 goal kickers. They've kicked 9 goals from inside 30. They've been able to get the ball in deep. They've been marking the ball in there also. Before the game, there was a query on who was going to take the marks, but they've got plenty of them. They've had 14 marks inside 50. They've got the goals out of Betts and Garlett that they needed. Thornton has been an absolute revelation up there. He's taken 6 or 7 marks as well. So that Carlton forward line has functioned beautifully today.
I have to say too, they've been aided a bit by a lack of decision-making by some of the Essendon players. Seem so well drilled in covering their men, they haven't really gone at the footy. 119 plays 57 as we start the final term in this elimination final at the MCG. And the winner will play the West Coast Eagles in Perth. It's a prize of sorts as the ball bounces inside the forward 50. Hill. Now a throw against Hill. They got it to Watson, but didn't do it properly. Henderson. Scotland loves it back there when he gets a bit of space. Here he goes again, Bruce. That's one. I think he's on a limit as the ball goes just beyond the wing. Hardingham knocks it down. Stolen though by Simpson. Goes to Murphy. A centering kick. Mark is dropped by Robinson. Goes after it. Over the football is Ellard. Trying to back out of there is Ellard. Got to his feet. That was pretty good. We'll get a bounce.
That's the new technique. Get to your feet and you dive on the footy. They'll be training that.
So Fletcher on O'Halpin deep. Murphy 30 disposals for the 12th time this season. Swan's got 15. I think no one has got as many as that through the year. Gibbs back to Murphy, back to Carazzo. And Carazzo measures it to Armfield, who runs onto it. Don't think Waite played this weekend in the reserves. Just thinking about next week, Cruz will be the interesting one, won't he? I mean, and Cox, does he play? Because Warnock today has been so important, but West Coast ruckmen are such a key. Diagon's kicks a good one. And we've been waxing lyrical about Thornton all day.
Yeah. Cox is a big question mark for West Coast, isn't he? Need him.
So it'll be interesting to see whether Cruiser can come up for Perth. But this has been a good move. Thornton through this year, a swing man, but really as a defensive type forward.
He's up and about early, took marks through the middle of the ground and got the game going forward for the Blues.
Kicked 2 goals, and that one is a good, long, strong kick. It was touched by Ryder right on the line.
So Fletcher to bring it in. Decides to go straight up the middle from behind. Dygan got a fist on it. Hocking spins out of trouble, gives it to Zaharakis. He sends it down towards half forward. Nice kick. Hill couldn't complete the mark. Now they've got a problem. Sliding in Monfries, claimed by 2 Blues. And down he goes, and he was unable to get to his feet and back out. Talk about practicing that at training, Lee. I went to training a couple of weeks back, and I was watching a team train, and they actually were practicing running back off the mark after they'd taken a mark.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before. It's like practicing running onto the ground, I would have thought. But there they were, you know, sort of get the ball, run back.
Now, a lot of players actually want to play on before, in fact, they're back from the mark. That's the idea of that, just trying to teach them to get back and get a bit of space.
Zaharakis fires and misses everything out of bounds on the full. I immediately left and got in my car. Walking backwards as I went, of course, I'd learned something and drove home, but I realised I was a dinosaur.
Well, we actually used to practice that a fair bit. You'd practice getting the ball back off the mark. You see Davies there warming up, and also manning the mark, the basics. Because I'm sure as a coach, nothing would give you the here it's more than kicking directly into the man on the mark.
I would love to have been at Glenferrie when Lee was playing, and I practiced running back off the mark.
Did it happen, Lee?
No, not then. You're right, not then.
Scotland, Ryder in a good spot. O'Halpin, Walker, draws it to Murphy. And Gibbs decided to kick it to Thornton. Has become a real target today. Betts, he loves playing against Essendon. He misses 1. Kicked 8. And is that Heppel in trouble? Or is that Fletcher? Fletcher's banged into the back of Hill. And the 36-year-old would be feeling 36 for the first time this year, I reckon. He is a marvel.
That was like the Roadrunner, wasn't it? He ran into the side of a hill.
He would like to have been running backwards.
Mitch Robinson's coming off the ground with him. He's really keeping the tag.
Just what you want when you're feeling groggy. Hand pass comes across from Armfield. Forward they go again.
It's Murphy's first mark.
Murphy to Walker.
34 disposals for Murphy and 1 mark.
I was thinking, Dennis, about all those things they're now practicing the modern era. Back in the bad old days, we were dinosaurs. You had to teach yourself to play.
Well, there comes Davies. They've finally made that sub that we predicted just before 3/4 time. And obviously Jamison is the man that's gone off.
So Andrew Walker has kicked 1-2 this afternoon, but he's played his part. They've been so fluid in their movement on the forward line, and that is a beautiful kick. Splits the middle. Confidence is sky high.
So Walker 52 goals this year, Betts 48 goals this year, Garlick 46, and they've got 8 goals between them. Now Jared Waite didn't play in the reserves this weekend, so you'd have to think he's out, wouldn't you, in terms of anything later this year. That's a good tackle on Judd. That was from Hocking, who started well. Remus, Joseph, there's Davies. Well done, Hill, but he couldn't quite get it out. Carazzo, Joseph fended off. Monfries, little give. Remus, quick kick forward. Hurley and Laidler. Armfield. And as part of the Judd trade, Armfield, he's been a good journeyman, a really good handy player. Henderson from the Brisbane Lions. Good kick. And Thornton, his hands have never been better than they are today. On to Scotland. You must be pleased, Lee, with Henderson because
he's a great kid, and it's great to see him really making something of his ability now. He's playing defence.
Davies hard on the boundary line, centering kick, low flat one coming in. Collier, McVeigh, Melksham. They work it out. Heppel thumps one long. Monfries. Myers looks towards the middle. He sets Davey a task. Davey overran the footy, almost into the back of Joseph there. Hacked out of midair by Remus, down towards half forward. Simpson getting back. Laidler. Well, not a precise kick. It was a 50-50 ball. Watson kept coming. Now, There's an Essendon player down at Simpson, slow to get up. Meantime, hand pass from Laidler to Gibbs. Simpson quickly to his feet, though, is the odd man out here, and will get the football. Runs onto it.
Rope-a-dope.
Yes, how about that? Quick recuperative powers. He'd be a hit in the WWE. Ball comes across from Judd to a teammate who was taken high, and the free kick will go to Robinson. Robinson just loves this sort of bash and crash. You talk about wrestling, I mean, Randy the Ram Robinson.
Hell of a game for Robinson. He's hit the 4 scoring shots. He's done the job
influential, hasn't it?
Yeah, he has, no doubt.
Influential.
There's the hit to Simpson.
Just for a moment, that streak of consecutive games looked in danger. I need to finish this one, but it looked a little serious. Not the case. That's good news. O'Halpin in trouble bit, so he decided to stop and see if they noticed. Away comes Myers.
So he looks up and he's got nowhere to go, Myers. Howlett, good kick. Davies been quiet. Not on his own there, of course. Now, Hurley running. Davey switched it up to Collier. They're going to have to run the ball forward. Hocking a left footer. Cut off. So Davies getting involved. I like that, the Blues. Warnock to Carazzo. And Carazzo, good kick. Gives Scotland a real crack. Inside the 50. Wanted to go on. Goes out wide. Thornton on the end of it. Does he go on? He sort of half went on.
He never came off his line. I think he just wanted to show a bit of the leather to his direct opponent.
Thinking ahead, Perth, and then if they got through the MCG, Geelong, leg speed's going to be so important. And the Blues have got it, haven't they?
They play well at the MCG, because MCG leg speed, big wide open spaces, great attribute.
And weighing up the tips for this game, it wasn't insignificant the fact the game was at the MCG, not at Ehad.
So Thornton with 2 goals today, so much good work. He is a very, very good kick normally. That one was always to the near side for him. But Carlton are going to have a terrific win. They haven't won a final for a decade, and they've come close in the last 2 years. But all year you felt like they were, if they're not top 4, they were the next best, weren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, when they lost Jamison and Waite, that really sort of was a massive blow, and that was probably the reason I suspect they finished 5th rather than 4th and being top 4.
Well, this is getting a little ugly now. Under pressure, Hardingham kicks it straight in the air. Robinson, almost the mark, but he's going to be penalised, I think. Holding on was the call. Melksham. A lack of conviction there from Essendon bringing it out. I think from memory they were 8-1, weren't they, at Etihad, Essendon this season. Short one comes to Heppel, and we saw Jared Waite moments ago. Had he played a full season, we saw him play so well on occasions for them at both ends of the ground. Probably they would have finished in the top 4, so it's all very hypothetical, but he is the missing piece of the puzzle.
They lost to the Bulldogs. That was their big loss. I mean, they lost to West Coast at Etihad and the Bulldogs in that little patch, didn't they? That put them back to the field.
So it's a heck of a contract going to Perth, though, on what we saw yesterday. Warnock just knocks it down in front. Gibbs came off the interchange, totally un-Australian. Ball comes across towards Simpson, hooks it back. Mark is taken by Carlisle. Now Lovett Murray. Zaharakis back to Lovett Murray. Bounces off Murphy. Robinson, though, spots what he likes. He's throwing himself about on the centre wicket area, but Melksham equal to it. Goes to Howlett. Howlett, not sure what he saw there. Can't speak to that at all. He kicked it to 2 Carlton players, one of whom Laidler comes out and finds Simpson.
He just compliments the midfield, Simpson, doesn't he? I mean, he's not the big star, but he plays such a good role. That's a wonderful kick to Dygan, who hardly broke his run there. They were forced back by Fletcher, who did well, and now Henderson sort of worried out of it, but Davey couldn't quite get it clear. Davies gets involved, and a ball up. All the numbers, certainly the contested possessions, the inside 50s, favouring the Blues.
It's not a massive number. 6 more inside 50s, that's certainly not a massive number.
And they've had 38 scoring shots to 17, Lee.
More about their efficiency when they got there has been terrific.
Scotland fending off. Back to Carazzo. The Bombers with a chance. Lovett Murray delivers to full forward. Laidler holds his ground.
Been a very good player today. Laidler, 14 disposals, 6 of those contested, but just being able to play tall and small on that occasion on Hill. Fantastic pickup.
You must have trained a lot with him. I mean, he's never quite... Oh, he only played 2 games for the Cats, didn't he, in 2 years?
Boundary throw in, falls a little bit short. Hill off the ground. Good effort, gets a goal. David Hill, well done.
Obviously, the Bombers had a pretty dirty day. Lee, as a coach, what do you want to see, Tenants?
In all honesty, you'd like to see fight. That's what you want. But, you know, in all real terms, when hope's gone, energy tends to disappear as well. It really is tough times to get much at all out of it, really.
Carazzo, well done, Walker. Just couldn't quite get the handle on it, O'Halpin. Stanton had it smothered by O'Halpin, who is such a combatant. Garlett, who was thrilling earlier in the match. Betts, brilliantly done. Used his body. Gibbs, can he get it? Betts has got it. He's got 4. I reckon it's Betts has got 4.
That's great. Just chasing after footy. Great effort here from Gibbs, having a fantastic afternoon, and just that's an opportunistic goal. Opens up the debate. There's a lot of debate at the moment about Brendan Favola and the role of the key forward, but that spread of goals you mentioned before, Bruce, with Walker, Betts and Garlett, you've got to be multi-dimensional.
Does really sum up Essendon's week, doesn't it? Betts have given them fits.
Garlett, Jeff Garlett.
Garlett's got the footy. He's about 55 metres out. So they're lining up down there on the forward line.
Kicks it quite low usually, Garlett, and a little bit into the bruise. That's probably the kicking action they've got a chance from here.
In he comes. 55 metres out. It's low, it's flat, it's not far.
Good pass.
I shouldn't laugh. It was as if he was on the springboard, Kyle Hardingham, in front that didn't spring.
He's had a good year, Kyle Hardingham, playing in defence, but today will be a day that he could do without.
So Walker's got the football, lining up his third. On the same line, but a lot closer to his previous goal. You'd back him in from here, and he puts it through.
Here's the incident with Bryce Gibbs. Landed heavily on that shoulder. He came straight off the ground, went straight down into the race. Probably an AC joint. You can see him there holding it. Probably not too bad, but he did go down the rooms. He's there with the doc now.
Carlton within 2 goals of their greatest ever win in a final. That was 80 years ago against Collingwood in 1931, after Collingwood had won 4 consecutive premierships. So the Blues lead by 77 here. And it does set up a great match-up next week. On the road, they've got a very interesting record in the Judd era. Over the top out. Collingwood and Carlton, the only unbeaten teams on the road this year. They're 4-0. Since Judd's come to the club, they're 13-8. And prior to Judd getting there, they were 1 out of 29 on the road. I mean, that was when they were a bad team. We know that. But they have travelled pretty well. Judd with a hip and shoulder on Milsham. So Juddy back at Subiaco, eh? Carlton have been magnificent today. Robinson. Throw, was it?
You mentioned Judd. Heath Hocking is a player from Essendon who has done a job today. Chris Judd just the 18 disposals. He's one player who can hold his head up high.
Chris Judd playing his 44th game at the MCG, dwarfed, of course, by 76. It will be 77 at Subiaco Oval from his days with the West Coast Eagles. Henderson dropping back, takes the mark. Garlett, outmaneuvered there by Zaharakis. So Zaharakis with the football on the other side. Interesting when you look at the minutes played. Game has gone for 115 minutes. And Randy the Ram has had 113 on the ground. So Mitch Robinson, very much a vital cog in what we've seen this afternoon. Clearly, highly valued by his coach. Here's Dygan around the outer side. Sends it to the wing. Collier battles there with Thornton. Well, a party trick. How about that? Thornton just tossed the hors d'oeuvres across to Murphy.
With a smile.
Okay, that's one, Brute. And the kick from Yaron, he should have run in a lot further. He smiles, but I think they might have cured him of the bounce. That's the problem. He's still got to run in this situation.
I reckon they say a few words here. It's Murphy to Yaron. Let's have a look if we get a look at it here. And he puts on the smile. Running bounce. He's saying something to him. That's party time.
Stand up on the right half forward flank.
Ball's coming back from Robinson to full forward. Hardingham, who's had the horrors, belts it away. Is that deliberate? It'll be a boundary throw in. So the attendance today, here's Myers, 90,161. Now, that's the biggest finals crowd before a prelim final since the 1992 semi-league when you coached Collingwood against Essendon. So it's a magnificent turnout. Davey running hard through the centre, out wide. And of course, the biggest crowd this year. It was 89,000 on Anzac Day, so just a great turn-up. And Blues fans are thrilled a bit. So Murphy getting up and up now. He's up to 37 disposals.
Equals his career high, Bruce.
So he's been just wonderful again today.
That was against Melbourne, round 21-09.
The Carlton fans are loving it now. Well, they just love Judd too, don't they? Long ball in, Hardingham half went for it. Garlett rolling it behind. So 10 goals between Garlett, Betts and Walker. And the stats show that when they win, they get a lot of goals. And they'll be such a key next weekend.
Those little fellas now just honing their skills, aren't they, on the forward line, going through their repertoire. As McVeigh drives it to the centre square. I think Ryder will get the free kick for a push-out. So under 6 minutes to go. I think when the dust settles, Essendon will look back and say it's been a satisfactory season, Howlett, but this afternoon has been very disappointing. Hocking runs goalward, kicks, and gets it through.
Kevin Sheedy's first year at Essendon in 1981, they lost the elimination final to Fitzroy. And if history goes the same way, I think Essendon fans will be pretty happy with how it's, not today obviously, but to get to an elimination final, Hurd's first season. There's a fair bit to look forward to. Not so much in the next few hours, but that's a brilliant handball by Watson. Zaharakis, who's been one of those very good players who's been down today. Davey got it to him. Davey and Judd and Joseph. Davey held on to, should have got a free. Hill brilliant that time to Zaharakis. Zaharakis kicks to the top of the square. There's a bit of a shove. It's going to be a goal. Monfils has kicked 3. Oh, the out was right there.
He got away with one there, I reckon. Get another good look at it here. Great hands from David Hill to get it through. Zaharakis has been marginally down. The setup was right. You had a one-on-one. Hard to say. You can just only assume there are hands in the back, to be perfectly honest. Dygan.
Maybe the umpire adjudicated it was he sort of basically came back and bounced forward as opposed to got pushed forward.
42 plays 75. Just over 5 minutes to go now. Ryder does well. Warnock equal to the occasion though. Tackles the recipient, Lovett Murray. Ryder again. Warnock perhaps the better of it. Knocked it wide. Simpson, look at him. Work hard, Simpson. Well done, Stanton. Simpson crawls after it. Davey tackled by Judd, let it fall. Carazzo, hand passes out wide. Eddie Betts out against the boundary line. Down towards full forward, Satanta almost. Zaharakis goes in. O'Halpin steals it out the back. He was trying to skip away there. Nothing doing. Heppel was in the road. Howlett, Watson. Comes out to right half back and Stanton. Little chip short. Monfils a runner outside. Thought about Davey. Now he gives. Davey had to stopped there because of the hand pass. He couldn't sort of run on. It wasn't out in front. Monfries has got it. Back to Davey. Davey short to Hocking. Not 15. Hocking feeds it to Hurley. Hurley, the focal point in attack, but really the service hasn't been so flash today. And the ball goes out of bounds on the bounce in front of Jetta.
So there's Bryce Gibbs on his shoulder, so in those rooms. Not quite buddy, you like, but it will be a huge talking point tomorrow.
Positive was he was moving his shoulder around after he'd hurt it, so I think precautionary.
Just Cotton Waller, not the big bandage, mate.
Yep.
Been such a good player again today, Gibbs. He's can play anywhere, can't he? He can play half back, half forward, in the guts, on a wing. He's kicked 3 goals. Warnock so good when there was pressure on in this game. And Reimers couldn't quite get a handle on it. Dygan out wide. Heppel, he's had a great season, Heppel. Howlett in a boundary throw-in.
Now, I'm not sure it was ever an issue, but I would imagine this certainly secures Brett Ratton. If that needed to be done.
I've got to be honest, I really struggled to buy into any of that conversation. Carlton have improved, all their numbers have improved, their culture looks like they've improved, and Brett Ratton's been a massive part of all of that.
So often the way, isn't it? The knock on a guy is you can't win the big one. Well, they've won the big one today, big time.
Absolutely.
Remember, they were anchored to the bottom of the ladder 5 or 6 years ago. So it's been a fair gradual evolution to get up into the finals and then get towards the second week of the finals, which they'll do this year.
So Betts out wide. Lee, can I, without embarrassing you, I do know that you spoke to the Blues on Friday. Was it Friday?
It was asked to have a word to the team in the build-up. Yeah, well, Alan Richardson and Gavin Brown, 2 of their assistants, I coached at Collingwood, so we just talked about competition and finals a bit.
So Lovett Murray to Jetta, and Jetta gets a consolation. So they get up to 12 goals, the Bombers.
Friday night. That'll be an interesting game. Franklin says he could play, but that's highly unlikely. And Sydney really rolling into some very good form. Melksham ricochets back to Lovett Murray. Howlett, Heppel. Been touched off the boot. Hocking inside the forward 50. All pairs down there, but it doesn't matter. Terrific mark taken by Henderson. They didn't need an extra man. Henderson won the duel fair and square. Goes out to Scotland. Another big day for Heath Scotland. He's up to 27 possessions now. Thornton, ditto to the outer side wing. Melksham punches it towards the boundary line, and it runs out.
Yeah, we all saw how Buddy Franklin looked even yesterday morning, very hobbly, but gee, some things happen in finals. I can guarantee if he plays Friday night, he won't be feeling his knee joint. One way or another, we won't be feeling it.
Well, Lee Brown played for you guys, didn't he?
Well, Michael Voss in 2000, Brown in 2004 basically played with deadened knee joints, just so there was no discomfort.
G. Walker's quick. Running bounce to the left, uses Carazzo, 48 metres out, and just another beautiful team goal for the Blues. They've kicked a few of them today.
That's just been the way Carlton have played, that ability just to transfer the ball from one end to the other and get behind the Essendon defence. They've had the speed to run on. I don't think Essendon's defensive setups are anything to write home about today. No. But so often the Carlton have just got the extra player over the top.
Shows you the value
after goal.
The value of Walker. He can play as a key forward, but he was a midfielder drafted number 2 overall as a midfielder, and that's the speed you'd expect of a midfielder. He's kicked 50 goals, lays it off, but watching the game so far, it's been contested possession sides have won the game. Carlton have taken 21 contested marks. That's their season high, so the bigger the game, the simpler it becomes.
Speaking of records and season highs, 43 scoring shots for the Blues this afternoon. Their season high 44 against the Tigers. Still time enough at least to match that. Wide of the pack, Betts. Heppel floats one down towards half forward. How will it bounce? Well, gee, took off. Awkward one. Yaron is first back. Slips a hand pass away to Scotland. Scotland to Thornton. Thornton across the body towards the outer side. Heppel tracks it back. Thornton, what an interesting player. I think some people would have been inclined to write off his career earlier this year. Well, he's come bouncing back in the best way possible as Reimers kicks a belated goal.
So a couple to Reimers. He got one in the opening term. And Essendon been able to kick 5 in the last, but the Blues have kept the scoreboard ticking over as well. So just playing out time now.
To reiterate that point, they've had 43 scoring shots out of 61 inside 50 entries. I mean, 61's a good day's work, but 43 scoring shots, I mean, that's just indicative of how dominant their forward third has been against Essendon's defence.
I know Pears went off a quarter time, but they've looked disorganised down back the Bombers, haven't they?
Just got beaten everywhere in defence. No organisation, no composure.
That bounce should come back. Just quickly, Tom, on a defender, I mean, we've seen Laidler and also Dygan and Henderson go. How long does it take to become a really good defender? I mean, it's a craft that you must work at, obviously.
Yeah, there is, and I think the basis of it, Bruce, has to be the one-on-one contest. You've got to enjoy them in the first place and win them. And if we look at Essendon today, and I think Hawthorn also on Friday night, were bereft of confidence in the one-on-one.
So Beck's giving off to Simpson after Walker kicked it forward.
And then by extension of that, Bruce, that you can't underestimate the value of playing in a team in a defensive six, and we've commented a few times today with Carlton's back six, with Jamison back there, he provides the structure. Henderson's grown as an extent of that. Laidler comes in fit, Dygan's playing, so they've got the nucleus of their six core there, and classic case of the whole's greater than the sum of the parts.
As Dennis said, he's got the record for the most number of games. They've had a lot of champions at the Blues, but nobody's played as many consecutive games as Simpson today, and that wasn't in the script. I just wanted him to kick a goal, but he's up to 22 today, had 40 in round 24, career high. So Carlton are going to be oh so pleased, and you feel like they could still play an even larger part in the finals as we march towards that grand final day.
Halpin did well. Finishes with Simpson inside the forward 50. We're just counting down to a little euphoria at the MCG. No Carlton fan has gone home. So he's done it, says he. Boy, did he do it. Is standing by, as you saw, with Chris Judd.
Well, Jody, such a comprehensive performance today.
Yeah, we're wrapped. You know, Essendon, a great young side, and we knew we were going to be up against it, so to come out and play as well as we did, you know, it was really pleasing.
Going into this game, one might have thought that Essendon's tools were going to really trouble you, but your back line did a great job.
I thought they were superb. I thought Hendo and Lades, and you know, you could talk about the whole 16 there. They really dug in, and I thought they were a big part of my.
And at the other end of the ground, Robinson did a really important job on Fletcher today.
Yeah, he did. That was one of those roles where, you know, I guess Rob would love to be running in the midfield and getting touches, but he had to sacrifice his own game for the team, and you know, it was a very important role today.
What sort of pressure was on the Carlton Football Club coming into this final, given the record of the last couple of years?
It got spoken about a bit, but you know, from a player's point of view, to say that games that happened 12 months or 24 months ago, you know, really have an impact is probably exaggerating a bit. But you know, we're wrapped to have a win in front of our home crowd, and that's exciting for the club.
Any irony in you going over to Perth next weekend to knock them off?
There is, isn't there? No, it's going to be a great challenge for us. We're looking forward to it.
Well done.
Thanks, Timmy. Cheers.
Richard.
Yeah, it was great to hear the fans sing in that last quarter. So yeah, it was a great effort by the boys.
And how good was Who's your forward line? You've had 44 shots from 63 entries. They're on fire today.
Yeah, it's not a bad stat, that. Yeah, the boys up there were pretty special. I thought everyone played their part, and we've just got to do that next week.
And we just heard Juddy talking about going to Perth. Did you have a look at the Eagles yesterday?
Yeah, had a look at the Eagles. They were fantastic. Their pressure and tackling was fantastic. So we have to be on our game next week to match that, and hopefully we go right.
You must be proud of your own performance today. Personal best in a final. Can't ask so much more.
No, you're right. I was pretty happy with the way I went, but I think everyone sort of pitched in and did the job.
And your back six today stood up. Henderson really starting to come of age down there. Jamieson, your structure was back.
Yeah, I don't think Hendo's lost a battle for about 4 or 5 weeks. He's been fantastic, and the guys supporting him down there in Laidler and Diagon have been fantastic as well. So everyone's playing their part, which is great.
Good luck next week.
Thanks, Joe. Cheers, mate.
Terrific stuff, Murphy. And before him, Judd. 3 finals at the MCG for Judd. He won a Norm Smith in his first. He captained a premiership in his second. He's captained a drought breaker in the third. He has this colossal career continuing to evolve. So Carlton, a very big player, you feel, in the next maybe fortnight or 3 weeks. They've got a lot of firepower at both ends and in the middle. They were just terrific today. We'll be back with the song, Michael Malthouse and Luke Hodge to discuss the finals. It was Carlton by 62 over the Bombers today. So 10 years since a Carlton win in a final. They did it in style. 62 points over Essendon. So many scoring shots. 44 to 22. 149 to 87. Remembering the Bombers kicked the first 3 goals of the match. I'm in good company here for the post-match, along with Lee Matthews, Luke Hodge and Michael Malthouse. Thanks for joining us, Mick.
Pleasure.
They were good, weren't they, the Blues today?
Good side. Have been very consistent all year. As I was saying to Hodgie before, it's very rare that 5 sides will finish in a position of 125% or more, and it's rare, or in fact it hasn't been done before, so it shows the quality of the side. And probably no surprise, really. They've been a very consistent side all year.
Let's start with Mark Murphy. He played almost the complete midfielder's game today, Luke. I mean, the 37 disposals, the goal, and all the hard ball gets as well.
Yeah, you're right. As you said, had 18 contested possessions, which is an outstanding effort. And just his work rate, up and back, it was just in and under. First option, got a few clearances and put the ball inside 58 times as well.
Mick, I think he won the Coaches Association Award, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he was in front until the very end.
Yeah,
anyway,
right. So, I'm not too sure about round 24.
That might have made him almost the best midfielder in the game, according to the collective coaching group.
Yeah, well, he's been judged on each game. I half suspect, Lee, that most sides will only go 1 tag, and when you look at the Carlton midfield, generally it falls out onto Judd, and he's a very good footballer, but I'm just wondering whether or not people are now paying enough attention to him, and perhaps in the final series, certainly at Subiapi next week could change that around.
And we heard Juddy say before the game that he's had less pressure on him because Murph's had such a consistent year.
Mick, we're going to go to Brett Ratton just very quickly. If he's off his back today, wouldn't you, by getting the win?
It is fantastic for him. I'm so pleased for him.
Yeah. Well, let's go down. I think he's with Richo right now.
Well, Brett, congratulations. First finals win for Carlton for 10 years. You must feel pretty happy about that.
Oh, really relief for the supporters and to get a home final. We got to play the game here and give our supporters a taste, but just to win the game. And I think when you go through disappointment and, I suppose that feeling sits with you for a long time, and just to get the enjoyment now, yeah, it's one part of the puzzle, but it's good to get that out of the way.
It was a really comprehensive performance. I thought your whole team across the board, everyone did their job.
Yeah, I thought today was about playing your role, and it was really important that we got everyone to fulfil that, and today I thought was outstanding. players had to do different jobs during the day, and I thought, like Armfield onto Stanton at times and Zacharakis, and then just to play himself. But there's some great performances across the board.
When the boys came in there, Mitch Robinson, you went straight up to him. He did a pretty important role on Fletcher to keep him out of the play, allowed you to get those one-on-ones in your forward line.
Yes, it was. Mitch is such a competitive person, and just to allow him to just play on Fletcher and just really nullify him, and if he could score a goal, it'd be a bonus, but I thought he just stuck to his task brilliantly.
Well done, and good luck over in Perth next week.
Thank you, really looking forward, and hopefully all our supporters can get over there, because with today's, I suppose, spirit and emotion that's at the ground, it's just awesome to come here, and they've been behind us all year, and hopefully they can get over there in Subiaco.
I'm sure they will. Well
Good
done.
on you, mate. Thank you.
90,000 a day. Mick, you've turned Leon Davis into a half-back flanker. Brett Ratton's done the same with Chris Yarran. And now he's a little shaky early today, but his run and bounce off half-back has been so important for them, hasn't it?
Been outstanding all year, quite frankly. I think that one of the things about a player like Yarran, that he can still play forward, and I think it's a double edge. Yesterday I sent Leon forward for only a brief period for 3 or 4 minutes, but you know that he can turn things around so very quickly, and it's a credit to the player himself to be able to adjust so quickly. The type of player we're talking about does hunt the football, and I think when the ball falls, they're so quick to actually pounce on it. Then they are able to judge what's in front of them so very well, and I think they take those forward line instincts to the back line, so it's a credit to him.
Behind Judd Murphy, I reckon he's the next most important person, because a lot of teams try and set up from the half-back line now. So if you're going to tag the next person in line, he'd be probably the person, I reckon.
Another bloke you know pretty well, Heath Scotland. I mean, Lee, he played against you in a couple of grand finals as a Collingwood player, didn't he? I mean, what a fine season he's had, Mick, and continue to play well again today.
Well, he certainly has, and again, it's a credit to him. I was saying to Hodgie before, it was a few years ago that he came to me and he said, look, I really want to move. I want to play in the middle. And I said, well, we've got Nathan Buckley and Scotty Burns. There's not a great chance of playing there. Where do you want to go? To Carlton? I said, well, they're got a pretty handy midfield. But what he's done, he's been able to find his niche as a defensive winger. He adds that +1 behind there. He's there behind the ball. He knows how to get forward as well. And I think it's a real art to be able to read the play, fall in behind at the right time, but also when the ball's on the move, to be able to actually come forward and present yourself as another option. So he's done a fantastic job.
Uses the ball so well. Good stuff, Mick. So plenty more still to come in the post-match with Michael Malthouse, Luke Hodge, and also Lee Matthews will be looking at yesterday as well and previewing next week.
The challenge is to balance on that fine line between the earth and sky. And now we'll wait for the morning sun till the way is clear as day. Well, okay, hallelujah. Now watch me take the stage.
Yeah, it's the hunt for the high, the people I've met, the places I've seen, the stories I've told, the forks in the road chasing my dream. On the brink, stop and think, I'm telling you dreams don't come.
Okay, set to roll. First game of the finals.
Hawkins, he's having a night out, Tom. He's a big tomcat tonight. And Ponzi Adley going leaning back. Oh, that's poetic. Picks it up and kicks the goal. It's a beautiful thing. Get to the contest. Johnson will. Johnson around the corner. Suckers another one. Mr. September. Listen to the raw, memorable stuff.
That's how the final started back on Friday night. And Geelong getting home. Today, the first elimination final. Carlton win their first final under Brett Ratton, and they win big time, 149-87. So we look ahead to what's going to happen next week. Hawthorn against Sydney at the MCG. That's on Friday night. And then the big trip west for Carlton against the West Coast Eagles at Patterson Stadium. And that is going to be a pretty tough road trip. Well, first things first, Hawthorn against Sydney on the Friday night. I guess the big question is, Luke Hodge is with us. And Luke, a bit of a limp there on Friday night. I mean, how did you pull up?
Yeah, we've had him was Frankie. His knees come out good. So
come on.
No, I was just got the normal corky. From,
okay.
As I said, wet conditions, you normally get them on one of those nights.
So what chance, Buddy? I mean, Buddy is being upbeat about things, but gee.
Yeah, I hope he's a good chance. Because as I said, you'd much prefer to look down and see the big fella down there. But look, as I said, Clarko's been strong on whoever plays in a forward line. They've got a role to play, and I think we played a game against Essendon early in the year and kicked 23 goals without Beatty. So hopefully it happens again next week against Sydney.
And Michael, you've got to say that Geelong just keep on rolling on.
Good football side.
Yeah.
In fact, they're a great football side. I think we get caught up in what happened 2 or 3 years ago and think they're just going to drift off. A lot of those players are still around. They've added a young batch to them. We look at Selwood and think he's been around forever. He's only a baby, really, in terms of football, but his maturity is outstanding. Resurrected career, I believe, anyway, of Ling. I thought he was a bloke that I think, probably dropping off that tag role. Tag role is one of the hardest ones because it's a selfish role.
Sure.
Because sometimes you chase a bloke around all day and you get caught up in just that one obsession. But he's developed it to a new level, and I have full credit to him. A wonderful football side, as we discovered in round 24.
Well, we're concentrating on Friday night, and I suppose the million-dollar question is, how do you stop Adam Goodsley? I'm surrounded by, well, 2 master coaches, but I'll sort of go to the end of the table because you're uncommitted.
Cloning might be handy. I mean, he's got speed, strength, skill, height. I mean, remember he played in the ruck at one point, and he can run like this, so it wouldn't be a fun matchup because they can put him anywhere on the field if they got a particular bad matchup, I guess, in terms of his tagging opponent.
I was actually lucky to play on him about 3 years ago, and he had 33 and kicked 3 on me. So I'm tipping that Clarko won't go for that option next week.
Hey, I didn't bring that up. You brought it up, and full credit to you. I mean, he is a remarkable athlete, isn't he?
He just looks at his peak of his physical powers.
I was going to say,
he just looks so quick and powerful.
300 games next week, and he's probably playing at the peak of his form. I mean, he's won 2 Brownlows. It sounds a bit strange, but he's very close to it. I mean, that's daunting for anybody who plays against them. Let's talk about yesterday's game here, Mick, because that did enthrall me. I was watching, and it was the bottom side from last year against the top side from last year. It certainly didn't look that way.
One of the things that has been very interesting is that we've been judged, I think Collingwood have been judged harshly on, you've beaten West Coast. I think that is a total devaluation of the abilities of how good West Coast are. They have been absolutely outstanding. I reckon that...
Is that more about what they did last year and the big improvement, or geography, the fact they came to Melbourne and people expect you to win in Melbourne against them?
Well, I guess if you finished on top of the ladder, you expected to win. That's number one. But number 2 is, yes, you're playing a side that finished on the bottom last year. 3 is, analyse why they were on the bottom last year. A lot of their senior players weren't playing. A lot of the kids were very much kids. Their new style system, if you like, is very much a press. They've jumped on board. John has always been a disciplinarian, and he wouldn't accept anything less. So they've got this game structure suits them down to the ground. Add on the maturity of Natanui and a few of these other young blokes, and the fact that Glass, Cox, Embley are playing as good as ever. That's because something obviously didn't go right. I wasn't phrasing that up. They are the real McCoy. Let me say, and it's a credit to them. I just think that we've been valued on what last year. This is a very good football side that won 17 games, 11 of the last 12. They will be around, and they'll make Carlton work for every kick next week.
I don't think I've seen you so animated in the box as you were yesterday.
I thought we needed to be about 5 in front at 3/4 time. I did something that I really haven't done before. I don't take risks in finals, and I think it was calculated. We had too many of our backline players. It's been a backline nightmare at Collingwood this year, and we lost Brownie very early. That was it. He was gone. From there on in, we've just had players in and out of the side. So rare to lose players with a broken hand for between 4 and 8 weeks. That we've lost 3 of those blokes. And when you bring them all back in, my heart was, can we hold off, get there by 3/4 time, and then just hold off? Because I just thought we were going to run out of legs. Now, full credit to David Butterfield and the players concerned. They stepped up to the point, but then it wasn't because of our tightness, it was because the West Coast just dominated the ball for that first 8 to 9 minutes, got them back in the game, and then they thought they could win it, which you've got to take that momentum away from them.
Adding Tarrant and Cracker to a premiership lineup, there have been a couple of good pickups.
Fantastic. Chris Tarrant, he left us 4 years ago. He has come back now to the point where he is just that hungry for success. And Andrew's, it's been a great story, Andrew Cracker. When you analyse the story over the last 8 to 9 years of being here, then going back home, he's been outstanding.
Here he is playing while he was in prison. would have been a hard team to beat. Well, he's not actually in the prison building, as you can see at the moment, but there he was, and that's been very much your philosophy in coaching, Mick, giving that second chance. You've done that for a few players, and obviously that warms the cockles of your heart.
Well, I like to see... I'm heavily involved in getting youth back on track, and one of the things with football is it's happening with Andrew Cracken. I think he's such a wonderful story. He's a great story for kids that perhaps think that their first chance has been lost and it's going to go. No, you've got to encourage the second chance.
So Carlton win by 62 points this afternoon, and they're off to Perth. Looking forward to that. There's their captain. The high flying, we've got to say, Chris Judd. Took a specky, almost took another one. And he's a man who could become the fifth man, along with Adam Goods, we've got to say, to win 3 Brownlow medals. But for the moment, at least, he's satisfied with what they did this afternoon, and so he should be. Back with more right after this.
Goods, 3 runs. The winner of the 2006 Brownlow medal is Adam Goods.
Declare Jim Stein the winner of the 1991 Brownlow medal. I declare Gavin Wakeney the 1993 Brownlow medal.
Jason Ackermanis from the Brisbane Lions.
Shane Crawford, the winner of the 1999 Brownlow medal.
James Hurd and Michael Boss.
Dual Brownlow medalist Robert Harvey.
I declare the winner of the 2010 Brownlow medal, Chris Judd. And here it is back in the sack. He was almost out the door. He's got it. This is Davis Cup. And he's done it.
Federer lost an epic today to Novak Djokovic, so he'll be here on time. And Sam Stosur, we do wish her well in the final of the US Open. So part of a huge weekend on 7, the Davis Cup, Australia-Switzerland on Friday, and then the V8s on Saturday from Phillip Island, and Sunday to go with Hawthorn and Sydney on Friday night, the first of the semi-finals, to be followed by West Coast and Carlton. So a great line-up there. Hodgie, if Buddy does play, when do you reckon the call might be made this week?
They'll give it till as late in the week as they can. They're not going to take any risk with him, so they'll just assess him as the week comes.
And Mick, in the other game, you guys did a fantastic job. They got the hit-outs, but you got the ground level clearances. That'll be Carlton's problem again next week against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with how hard or where you hit the ball. We were wrapped in Darren Jolly. We thought that we forced them to hit the ball where probably they didn't want to, and it gave us a chance. And I think the same. There's going to be some wonderful ruck duels over the next couple of weeks when you analyse, and I'm not too sure how Max Bailey's going, but Ruckman are having an influence again. Yeah, a big influence.
Mick, Ben Reid didn't play for Collingwood yesterday. I mean, what are his chances of playing the preliminary final?
Well, we're hopeful. We're a bit like the Buddy situation. He hasn't got, thankfully, he hasn't got that knee. But the good thing about it is we can now slow down his treatment and get him up, as opposed to trying to rush it through this week. So we're hopeful.
And how much of an advantage is it to have the break, do you feel? I mean, both Geelong and Collingwood get the break at this time of the year.
I was just saying to Hodgie just before, it is such a long year. The fatigue factor is incredible. And today's football, today was a bit of a blowout, but the finals we've had so far, it's like gladiators going against one another. I think football today is so much tougher in terms of close encounters. There's a correlation between how tough it is and the scoreline. When you have a look at the scorelines, there might be a 20 or 30 point difference, but it's almost done in 5 minutes. Very, very tough.
It can really blow it. Look, all good for you this week. Hopefully you'll be out there and playing a mighty fine game on Saturday. So for the Bombers, a disappointing end to what's been a really promising season, I think. They've lost today, obviously, to their arch rivals. Thank you, Lee, Luke, and also Mickey, especially coming in today. So in the end, the Blues break the drought, and they break it magnificently, winning by 62 points.
Goes to men's on 5 last week, gets the first tonight. Now Buddy, impossible for most, perfect for him. Pudsey Adley. And he does.
Mins, is he okay?
Oh. Bang! And kicks the goal. It's a beautiful thing. But all, and there's the story. Franklin is down. He's hurt that right knee. Johnson around the corner, socket another one. Wow, there's the siren.
You can feel this going right down to the wire.
Well tackled. Leach with a snap from 40. Can he bring it back? He can. Here's Williams. Critter. Left foot snap. goal.
Davis at the back.
Oh, spectacular leap.
Selwood looks like he might be concussed here.
Mark McGrath done it again.
Sub-Dean pops off.
Lynch out of the ruck. Lynch the goal, he's got it. It's a 2-goal ball game. Off to Ball. Ball snaps. That's the sealer. The Pies are home. And Goods at the back will run in and ram it through for their second in half a minute. Cosy strikes again.
And boy, that hurts. You can feel the pain of the Saints.
How can he kick one with the snap? Yes, he can. With the sniff of blood in the nostrils, and the Blood Brothers keep coming.
Because there's next week to think about for Sydney.
Today is an elimination final. Today, there can only be one winner.
Mark is taking